I'm all about it. But let's see here. All right, we're live.
It's not giving me that option yet to watch it.
All right, maybe.
I'm sure it will here in just a second.
Yeah. Yeah, it hasn't given me the option yet either. I know it fucks up sometimes. Nope. Still not. I'm live on Twitch. There it goes. Check it now.
Oh shit, wrong button.
All right.
Yeah, it's there now.
This is where the money gets made, boys. This is where it's going to go crazy. Today is going to be nuts. Yeah, I got a feeling today's going to be fun. What's up, A3? He's on the purple. We're here for the chaos. All right. Here we go.
Riddle is get that ugly dog out from beside you. Oh, he moved.
Oh. Like, damn. What's up, everybody? How are you guys? Obviously, we got a action-packed show for you guys. AC3 on the purple says it's a great day in America.
It is.
Hey, there's
depends on who you ask, because I guarantee you
there's going to
be a lot of unhappy people out there.
It's always a great day in America, but if we're talking a great day in America for college football, shenanigans, no.
It's going to be interesting to say the least, guys. I can say that. I told Riddle while you were off. I still think Elway, I know we're trying to get started, but I'm going to tell you this. I don't think Bama's locked in yet. So don't take it to the bank. And there's a reason why.
Would you pick a side of the fence and stay on it?
There's a reason why. No, I don't think they're in. I think SMU, if they get beat, they're going to hold that candle up and say, we can't penalize them for playing in their championship game. We'll let them and Clemson be in. That is what they said. That is what they said.
The committee's going to go back on their word in one way or the other. So
I know. I mean, it is what it is. But I told you, does Alabama deserve to be there? No. Unfortunately, Clemson got beat like an idiot, and Miami got beat and threw all this shit into disarray. It'll be interesting, to say the least. So.
Well, that's the first topic we're going to get into. So,
I
got my notes ready, baby.
Yeah, do away with conference championship top four. Yeah, Thriller. We're all about that. Every one of us on this is about that.
I still like the conference championships because I feel like the conference championships still hold prestige, but. I think the automatic buys and the automatic buy-in. I mean, you can. I even think the automatic buy-in should. If you can't get in on your own merit, then you don't deserve to be in.
That's fair. I mean, like I said, we talked about that a little bit, and I was, it's going to be interesting. We're going to get so deep into this, guys. We're probably going to be sitting here. It's probably going to be fun, but let's see here. I mean, they have them.
I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of pissed off people in here.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Nobody in this podcast sits on the committee and gets to make these rankings. So. It's nobody here's fault.
USC had a pretty good early signing day there, Thriller. especially with the people that they've had decommit and flip here of late. They had a pretty strong day, moved up 2 spots on my list.
Yeah, they had a good day.
I know you follow 247 there, Brendan, but
I do 247 and On3.
Yeah, I like ESPN because they rank them a little tougher on ESPN.
Yeah, the only reason I freaking Tom Luganbill just sucks, and he's their head recruiter or their head. Yeah, he's like Mel Kiper. He's wrong so much more often than he's right, and you're like, at some point you're like, God damn, can this guy ever be more wrong? And it's like, yeah, he can. The next year he does something to top it, and it's not that he doesn't know what he's doing. He obviously knows a lot about recruiting.
Tony, hang on, I'm gonna cut you off real fast. Send it said Judy, Westbrook, Pollard, or Hopkins. Pick 2.
Okay, we talking about this week. Do we talk about this week?
I'm assuming for fantasy purposes.
Yikes!
I'm taking Judy after he looks like he's turned it on since week 8.
I mean, yeah, with Winston.
Yeah, I mean, dude, he straight up played like a man possessed.
Yeah, he had a good game. But previous games before that, he was mid. I mean, he did have another good game thrown in there, though. But
since week 8, he's been consistent. Oh, Mitchell, thank you, bro. Thank you, man.
Is that Westbrook Nakine?
Yeah,
he's been scoring touchdowns every fucking week. I mean, he's scoring touchdowns. So
Kippy, absolutely not. I love that first round matchup.
But Kippy, we're glad you're here because we want to say congratulations. You guys are in no matter what, so congratulations.
No matter what you're in, that's a huge that's program.
Big, man. That's big. So that's great. Signetti, everybody, man. I'm so excited for Indiana as a program because I know that's a huge step in the right direction.
Thriller, you said Lincoln's still going to have to do some work in the portal. I think he will. He usually does. He's one of those big portal guys. So the Jakeem Stewart sign though for y'all was huge.
Yeah. Alabama's going to do some portal work because we only have 21 commitments. So I already know we're going to do portal work. Between us and Oregon in the top 5, we're 5 below everybody else. But that doesn't really matter in rankings, though, because they the top guy they take off and the bottom guy they take off, so it doesn't really. LSU fans big mad about that yet. So we stole Derek Meadows from LSU last second too, Thriller, and I know they're pissed off about that because he's a 6'5" speed demon. So that receiver.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about one of Georgia's signees, Elias Williams, 6'7", 235.
Yeah, that's a big boy. What's he gonna play? D end or tight end?
Tight end.
Okay. Yeah, that's a big boy. QB in the portal. Okay. Thriller says Riley has been confirmed that he will be looking for a QB in the portal. That's huge. I heard Oklahoma's also, now that Jackson Arnold's leaving, apparently they're not sold on the QBs they have on staff because they're looking for a QB too. When I read that article, Tony, after you sent that, yeah, and Venables already said they're going to be looking in the portal. That's crazy.
Maybe just for depth. I can't imagine that they'll go away from the freshmen that they played for most of the year unless they just
unless somebody's huge, somebody huge shows up, and I don't know necessarily if they will or not.
Nico's little brother flipped his commit also from
that's the one
Arkansas. Yeah. What?
That's the one intriguing one I was going to touch on because that sets up future matchups there.
He didn't have a standing offer to Tennessee.
He probably don't want to try to compete with his brother. Probably wants to go somewhere and play. Hey, he probably wants to play SEC too. Maybe play against his brother.
Maybe. Talk about sibling rivalry. That's crazy.
And Kippy, I don't doubt that. I think Indiana will, obviously give it their best, but they're having to come to Athens.
Yeah.
But this is going to change. One way or the other, it's going to change.
It's going to change.
It won't be that matchup in the first round. So,
well, I mean, let's just call it what it is. Dedicated. Let's call it what it is. If Georgia wins, they move up into one of those spots. Texas falls 6th, 7th, 8th. because I still think Notre Dame's locked up the 5th seed no matter what. I think they've locked up the 5th seed. So
depends. It depends on what the committee does with Penn State.
You're right.
Hippie.
But see, that'll also depend on how they do. You know what I mean? It's going to be crazy.
Is far opposite of me when it comes to talking about my teams. I'll tell you that.
Hey,
I don't blow smoke in my team's ass.
Yeah, AC3 on the purple says you're being pretty humble. I've been talking shit about Bama since last night. He's a Bama fan, so he's been talking shit to other teams.
There you go, Thriller. Luke in the chat made a comment there for you, Thriller.
Oh wow, that would be huge, man. That would be huge.
Miller Moss to Indiana.
Oh man, that'd be. I don't understand. Okay, I don't understand the Miller Moss thing. Like, is he not happy with the scheme, or is Lincoln Riley not happy with him and saying, "Hey, we're both going to mutually part ways"? What's happening here? It makes no sense. The dude's starting for a pretty prestigious program. Is Bama ready to come up to the bitter cold in South Bend and get beat? I guess we can lose anywhere, buddy.
I seen a Notre Dame fan or something say, "God, I hope it's -5 degrees." I was like, "You really want to watch Notre Dame lose in -5 degrees?" That's crazy to me.
He said it's cold here now. Hell, it's cold. It's cold everywhere right now.
It's cold here.
It's cold.
Yeah, I sat outside and watched it snow the other day.
Oh man, my kids were so happy about the snow. They're like, "Yeah!" All right, man. Let's see. He left because he got benched because the fan on the board thought he was well. Yeah, thank you for sharing, Cam. Kaidon Salter to Auburn. Man, I don't know. So that'd be a big one for Auburn to pick up.
Auburn had a pretty damn good class, considering.
They did. They did. We had a couple that were on Flip Watch, and they did not flip. Yellowwood's paying out big money down there on the plains.
Maybe no firing at Auburn.
They finished the day 7th on my list.
Yeah, they're pretty close to 7th on all of them when I looked at it. Doesn't help when your O-line gives you 2-3 seconds. Yeah, 100% Thriller. I think Miller Moss is a good quarterback. USC just didn't have a lot of – I mean, they've got talent, don't get me wrong, but Big Ten was going to be a hard transition. I'm sorry. It was going to be a hard transition. Oregon threw a lot of money at the transfer portal to make this season happen for them. So, and plus they're Oregon. Like I said, they're going to throw out money left and right. Let's see here. Check the basketball score real quick. I know it's football season, but
Deuce Knight was a big flip for them from Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Deuce Knight. Getting Deuce Knight, getting their quarterback was huge. 100%. That's 100%. Bama 82-69, 4:11 to go. Basketball at Chapel Hill.
Did you see what old Hurley said at Connecticut after that Maui disaster?
No, what'd he say?
He said that's probably the last time they'll ever play an in-season tournament as long as he's at Connecticut.
I don't know why. I mean, it's fun. Do you guys?
What for them this year?
Yeah, Luke's asked a good question. Do you guys like the transfer portal? It's kind of a hit or miss for me, and I'll let Riddle or Tony speak to it. It's a hit or miss for me. I think you should be able to transfer, but I think there should be some limits on it. This transferring every year just to be able to go wherever that seems kind of
yeah. We said before there needs to be some type of not a contract, but they need to fulfill whatever they agreed to from the beginning with, and that's it. Yeah. So
I mean, I like the fact that they changed the rule of used to it
was super strict. It was stupid.
Yeah. If you transferred, you had to sit out a year. Well, then they changed it and gave you the one transfer. I'm okay with the one transfer. But now they've made it to where you can transfer twice without penalty. And I mean, with the NIL on top of it, you've opened up free agency in college football.
But Tony, you hit the nail on the head. I think if we have contracts and you make other teams have to buy out those contracts, you'll see a lot less money getting flown around. I promise you that. When people have to pay $10 million for a player that's not on their team anymore. I mean, it's going to be interesting. But I agree. Players need to have some sort of accountability, and then the school has to, if you're willing to go tamper, because there's tampering that goes on, you'll have to pay a consequence. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, though. I mean, I'm excited to see what happens. Let's see here. Makes it interesting, but I don't think players reach potential. That's true, Kippy. We've said that, like, your O-line and D-line usually need a couple years to get acclimated to the SEC. Sometimes quarterback is another position, and people just aren't willing to sit anymore.
Yeah, and I say a lot of these players, that are getting paid, they might have the option, hey, maybe I don't want to go play pros. Maybe I just want to make money in college and then get my education and go do a job where I'm not going to have my brains beat in, for like 10 to 12 years.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. I mean, you can make lifelong money.
Now a lot of these kids are getting paid.
Yeah.
Are they really going to give like 1,000% effort, because they're trying to make the big leagues?
Yeah. I agree with you.
I don't think too.
A3, we're going to be starting the pod in about 20 minutes. Just waiting on Jordan. Is spending millions on these kids the way to go? That's the way it is going. So the top talent is going to go where the money is. Apparently, Tennessee saw that today. I don't know, Riddle, if anyone left Georgia or flipped from Georgia because of money, but I know Alabama saw it today, and Tennessee we both have experienced it just today on 2 5-star talents. So
I know we had a few flip into Georgia. I don't recall seeing anybody flipping out.
Yeah. Georgia does exactly what Alabama does, and that's pay market value, just in case anyone wants to know that. Kirby's
runners.
Yeah. I do know that we've got one guy in the transfer portal, and it was the guy that I rode hard at the beginning of the year because he played awful. And he got benched during that Tennessee game, and he's declared that he's going to enter the portal. So, good riddance.
The DB.
Yeah, Julian Humphrey.
Julian Humphrey. Supposedly, Alabama's in his. I don't know how you have a top 5 when you go to the transfer portal. You know what I mean? I don't know how that works. I don't know how you have a top 5.
My God, I hope y'all get him. Y'all deserve a player like that.
Why? We've got enough bad DBs. What do we need any more for?
It's this game right now, right?
He'll fit right in. We got a DB that went to the portal too. He was a 5-star when he came out.
The Thriller just mentioned something in the chat. I mean, that's going to become a commonplace in college football. You commit verbally to a school and then use that school for leverage to get more money.
Yep. That is what's going to happen. That's why they need to have a grasp on this transfer portal and the NIL deal. And the way to do that, like we talked about, is contracts. There's nowhere that says, I mean, a scholarship, when you sign that letter of intent, that scholarship, that used to be a contract, a binding contract. Well, in the court, it can be a binding contract. We'll pay you this NIL money, but you have to serve X number of years here. Failure to do so, there'll be a buyout clause. You sign it, that's on you. But we'll see what happens.
Did you see the quarterback that Oregon signed?
I was looking. I didn't see.
It's a name that'll make you feel old.
It was a flip, wasn't it?
It just says they signed Achilles Smith's son.
Oh, the Jaron Kway Segapulu?
No, it's Achilles Smith Jr.
Oh, there he is. Yeah. Okay, he was below him. They signed 2 quarterbacks in this class. Yeah. Achilles Smith. But it does make me feel very old. Yes, it does.
Old Cincinnati Bengal guy right there.
Makes it.
They need to take away the NIL.
That's going to be tough. I don't think they can do it legally now.
It's too late.
But they can do contracts.
But they do need to regulate it. They need to regulate it. There needs to be parameters and set rules that people have to follow.
Yeah, because if not, then the NCAA is going to catch hell again. Where payers couldn't make any money off their name again, and they're profiting off these kids. So
let's see. Athletes care about money more than football now, and that's the problem, Cam. We're seeing that on the field. That's why you have teams like Alabama with talent, and you got a quarterback sitting over there shrugging his fucking shoulders. People don't have heart anymore, man. They don't have heart anymore. I mean, Riddle, we talked the same thing about Carson Beck several times this year during the season. I mean, not just Milroe, but several times during the season, we've talked about people just not giving a shit on our teams. And it's aggravating. What's up, Kias? How are you, brother? Blake's back. Blake Henderson, ECU, baby, ECU.
Oh, hell.
It's been a while.
Where you been at, brother?
Yeah. Hey, dude, we need to recap on that Army and ECU game. We haven't seen him back.
Damn. Don't let that be a reason to stay away, bro.
I didn't forget. I'm like an elf. I don't forget.
Let's see here.
So you're like an Alabama guy.
Yeah. Well, not that. Not that type of elephant.
So we need SMU to win so bad. I agree with that, Orrin. I agree. See, that's what I was saying. But we're gonna get into
come on now.
We're gonna get into it.
I didn't know if you want to talk about it, Blake. I didn't know. I figured I'd ask. It's been
Kippy,
a while.
Boise State's out. If Boise State loses, they're out, Kippy. There ain't no way. Group of 5, they're only getting one in. They're not going to give anybody else the opportunity. SMU, Clemson, maybe. Maybe they do too. That would be my biggest scare right there. If Clemson wins, Bama's out. That could be the case. I don't disagree with that.
It's terrible, but yeah, probably.
We'll
Clemson
see.
shouldn't be in this trash. They should not be in. Shouldn't be spoken of.
A group of 5 will only get one team in. There's no way they're putting 2 group of 5s in. No way. Playoffs might as well just be thrown in the fucking garbage if that's the case.
The way this committee's been all year, you pretty much head that direction anyway.
Yeah, well, that's why I posted what I posted, and we'll go over it. One thing that
you're just looking for any way to justify the Alabama getting in.
The numbers don't lie. Everybody else around you may lie, but I told Tony, if you want the playoff committee to have validity, they used the BCS and the coaches poll in the BCS. That was one of it was a factor in the actual calculation. Have the playoff committee put out, and that could be part of the calculation, and use the computers. Take emotions out of it.
I love Blake's enthusiasm and optimism there. ECU will be in the playoffs in 5 years.
Is Chris Johnson back on team? Will he be back on that team?
He's going to take more. He's going to take more. It's going to take more than Chris Johnson. It's going to take more than Chris Johnson.
Maybe recruit guys like that, though.
Oh, my God. One of the guys on the committee said that the teams that don't play have a hard chance of moving this weekend.
Yeah, the committee said a lot of things last night that they're going to have to eat shit on come Sunday. So.
Well, it's like Tony. When you walked away, Riddle, Tony was this dude that's in the Big Ten, the Michigan guy.
Yep.
He said some things he probably didn't even need to share. Like, there's no reason to share any of that information. You don't have to do that.
Should have kept his mouth shut.
You don't have to do that. Like, you could just.
Well, used to when it was just the 4 team, and I know at the beginning when they were discussing teams, if you were an AD or president of a university within that conference, you had to leave the room while that team was being discussed. I haven't heard that in a while, so I don't know if that's even still a thing or not.
Hell, the Big Ten's got he wouldn't even been in the room at all. Just play.
Well, I mean, with the way these rankings have went, and I'll get into that.
I know.
Real quick. I'm looking forward to pissing a lot of people off tonight.
Yeah, Blake, we do have 3 losses.
Bad losses. Well, 2 of them for sure, but
yeah.
Well, based off the committee, that Tennessee loss could be a bad loss.
Yeah. Yeah, it should be, because apparently Tennessee's not that good.
Oh my God!
Because y'all had a bad loss to Arkansas, but that was
bad
a good win for Texas.
Good win for Texas. Okay.
Yeah. See, and
that's funny.
Orrin, you're right, man. Mark Sears is really good. Alabama's basketball. We should have a good year. So we're just waiting on Jordan for us to get started. We're waiting on Jordan for us to get started. We got like a packed show.
He had to work today, so he'll be like right at 8:30.
But anyway, how's everybody in the chat doing? I know everyone's excited to get this shit started. This is going to be crazy. It is going to be crazy. Oh, let's see. India hasn't played any. Oh my Lord.
Touchy subject there.
Oh my God.
Touchy Kamisha.
Oh my God.
Kamshia.
Yeah, Blake, we're talking. Hey, man, basketball's still relevant, man. For some of it.
In some places.
Yeah, some
Bama.
Even though Georgia's gotten off to a great start, like they do every year before they get to conference play and finish 500.
Tennessee slammed the fucking door on Syracuse last night.
So, Cam, at 8:30, we start the podcast, and that's when we're really going to start touching on all the topics that you're talking about. Playoff rankings is the first topic we're jumping into. Talk a little bit on recruiting. We're going to go over the marquee matchups for the championship weekend, and then make some picks, and then we're just going to go right into it, man. It's going to be nuts.
Orion says SEC is 11-1 against the SEC during this challenge.
So we're against ourselves? Or you meant the ACC? Yeah, because Tennessee beat the crap out of Syracuse.
Yeah.
So it's exciting, man. It's exciting. 100%.
Tennessee this year, basketball-wise, so far looks like it's more of a team effort instead of just Dalton Connect.
Yeah.
Last year was the Connect show, pretty much.
And I think that as good as Connect was, and I'm not saying he's not, because he was absolutely a special player. But because he was so dominant, it really messed with Vescovy and James, I believe. I think it really hurt them that he came onto their team.
Yeah, probably Ziegler too. Ziegler took a
step back as well
himself. Yeah. Well, because they're letting Dalton do his thing. Yeah. They didn't want to take away his.
And they kept trying to feed him instead of all three of those guys.
Team ball. You got to play team ball. Because if they played team ball, they probably could have beat Purdue. Because I mean, let's just call it is what it is. Purdue got away with a lot of bullshit. Never forget that. Down in the paint because you had Edey down there who just was roasting marshmallows and you couldn't guard him. No, you couldn't put a finger on him, even though he's like 7'8".
I feel like our boy Kippy getting attacked in the chat.
Oh man.
Hey everybody, give Kippy a break. He just loves his team, okay?
Yeah, he's just an Indiana fan. It's okay. That's okay.
Let him have his time, Indiana.
He's a regular. He's one of them guys. He's one of the boys.
And this is one of the best years Indiana has had college football. So come on, guys.
Not everybody. Not everybody can have the red carpet rolled out for them like Bama does every year.
Yeah, every year. We bring fans to the stands. I hope you go over the real reason why Alabama's in. I hope you do. Everything that people are bitching about on social media is why Alabama's in. They bring ratings. They can't help it. The haters can't help it. People cannot stand it. They can't stand it. Georgia's going to manhandle it again. Damn. Just killing him. Killing him, bro. Stay. Oh, man. Oh, man. Anyway, yeah, it is what it is. Like I said, nobody on this panel right here is on the committee, so despite our opinions, we had no say in this whatsoever. So if we did, we probably would have. I know we at least would have seated people differently. Honestly, Indiana or Boise. Ooh, that's.
You know what's crazy? I'm going to come to Kippy's defense real quick, and I'm going to bring this for the moment. I'm going to come to his defense.
Okay.
Has anybody looked at the ACC schedule and who those guys have played?
Oh, I have, because that's all I've heard about.
It's fucking awful.
That's all I've heard about.
Awful. So,
because here's the deal, Riddle. You're going to argue, and I understand the perspective. If you want to come to me and say South Carolina or Ole Miss, I could listen to you. If you come to me and say Miami, oh my God, dude, just get real. And that's what everyone's arguing. They're not even arguing for South.
In this first topic we're going to be discussing, I spent a lot of. The only thing I spent more time on than our first topic is obviously the SEC championship.
Yeah.
To me, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But I did a lot of searching. I did a lot of looking up, and I've got a lot wrote down. And none of it pertain to the fucking playoff bracket that's going on right now.
Was that an LSU hoodie? No, I do not own anything LSU. I can assure you.
Cam said SMU has a good schedule. Apparently so. They were undefeated.
No, they lost once.
They lost once.
I'll get into it.
Yeah, but in the
ACC they did.
Yeah, look who they lost to though. But other than that, they had a good schedule.
I mean,
I still think they're good enough to beat Clemson. That's just me.
Wish Jordan would hurry the fuck up.
I know we're ready to take off. We're ready to take off. We want to get into this so much. y'all it's gonna get crazy. So y'all just bear with us. We're gonna take off and run. We're gonna be like thoroughbreds. Yeah. Oh my God. After we get done arguing about the playoff rankings, and then we can touch on this top 10 recruiting. I don't plan on touching on guys. Just so I don't plan on touching much on it. Just like I said, we'll go down the top 10 and just talk about surprises. And it doesn't matter. When I looked at it, everyone had the top 5 pretty much the same, just out of maybe in a different order, Riddle. So just you jump in.
Did you get Chris's picks for those other 3 conference championship games?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I did. He's like, am I picking ranked? Or I said, no, all of them this week.
Yeah, because there's just 9. I figured that'd add a few more.
Yeah. Let's see here. I can't wait to get started. This is gonna be so much fun, guys. Oh man. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't know who Texas got today, but they started the day out number 3 on this list and jumped. I don't know who they got.
On mine, they started 5 and jumped to 3.
So they got some people to jump.
Wide receiver Jamie French.
Jamie French has been committed to them for a while.
Yeah, and then their top defensive prospect is Jonah Williams.
Now, Jonah Williams may be who they got today, because I'm going to tell you what. Let's see here. When did he commit? They said he reminds them of Isaiah Simmons for the Giants, which is pretty fucking good.
Yeah, he's the 25th overall prospect, 3rd in the offensive tackle spot.
He committed since August, so it wasn't him. But he's by far their best player. Khalil Lockett, we were in the running for him. That was earlier this summer. Maybe Michael Terry. I'm looking. He committed December 4th. That's who it was. 5-star Michael Terry. That's the 5-star that put them over, which I don't know if one 5-star would have done it, but.
Yeah, but what is he? Is that 247? He's a 5-star?
So they do a composite, which the composite is ranked on ESPN Rivals, and he's a 4-star on that, 97.89. All right. Here's old Smokey.
Hell yeah.
I like my potato soup. I was kind of surprised. I didn't like it very much.
Oh, that's Mrs. Jordan right there.
Yeah, that's Mrs. Jordan. He don't have his mic in yet.
There he is, drinking that Tennessee juice.
That orange Kool-Aid. All right, guys. Here we go. We are Terry. Okay, yeah, Terry. That's what I thought, Jason. I saw that and I was wondering who it was. All right, guys. Well, we're gonna get into it. So y'all bear with us in the chat. You keep throwing them comments out. We'll catch up as soon as we can, as soon as we see them. But we've got a lot to cover, so we're going to jump right into it. Give me about a 5-second pause. All right, welcome back to Lock, Loaded, and Goated podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Andrews, accompanied by Tony Pardo at the top, Jeff Riddle Jr. with the Georgia sweatshirt on. We got orange man over here drinking the orange Kool-Aid, Jordan Elkins, and you got me. And this is the weekend roundup for championship week, so a special championship week edition of Weekend Roundup. Got a great show. It's early signing day, so we're going to touch on that a hair. We're not going to dive too much into it because we have a bigger topic to discuss, one that brings a lot of more heat along with it, and that is the playoff rankings. The playoff rankings are out. The playoff rankings are out. I'm not really going to go over the playoff rankings because I'm assuming everyone has seen them. But I guess for transparency's sake, I'll just let these guys tell you what their big controversy is with it, and then where they could see it changing. So anyway, we're just going to start off with you, Tony. We're going to go up to the top. We're going to start off with you. Tell me the snubs, the overrateds, what you didn't like about the playoffs.
Well, snubs. I'm gonna go overrated first because that's easy. Obviously, the overrated teams in this, I'm gonna say Penn State, and obviously Notre Dame, and I'm gonna give Indiana their flowers. I still think Indiana's better than them two jokers. Snubs wise, wow. I mean, there's really not a snub yet. I don't feel like there is. Not a snub yet. We'll see what this next week brings us. But right now, not many snubs. Now there's some bad seating, I feel like, but snubs, overrated. That's easy. That's Penn and Notre Dame.
So the seating, what would you change, Tony?
Well, touched a little bit of that yesterday. Ohio State has no business hosting a home game. I don't care. You can't be, 2 losses, same as Tennessee. Their SOS and their SP plus is about the same. But last I recall, Tennessee didn't, they didn't lose at home as a, what were they, a 21.5 point favorite to Michigan. A team that was, like I've said many times, complete overhaul, coaching staff, players, all that. A mid team. Just over 500, and you lose because you couldn't score enough. And even though Michigan scored one offense touchdown, that was because of an interception that led them into Ohio State's inside the 5. That's what happens, though, when you have a head coach who's the Michael Jordans of James Franklin. So that's what Ohio State's going to get. They're just they don't deserve a home playoff game. And it's not set in stone. Obviously, this is still just projection. But that one kind of pisses me off. I guess the other seedings, they're okay. I mean, if it was to end today, I guess you would have to let some overrated team like Penn State have that 5. And Notre Dame's bullcrap, though, too, even though I think that seeding is still crap. Because, again, we've already touched on this many times of how they're independent. They're not in a conference. They make their own cupcake schedule. And I sent you guys that text last night. Hell, maybe Tennessee should just dip into the independent pool, too, and we'll just go undefeated against some cupcakes, and we'll be in playoffs every year then. So that's just how I feel about this crap.
All right. That's good. Riddle, have at it, man. Have at it. What?
All right. So to hell with these rankings in the playoff bracket. That's what I've wrote down, and I want to talk about on the surface the elephant in the room. Pun completely intended there. So first thing that I want to bring up is the fact that, bear with me here, Miami lost on the road to number 22 Syracuse by 4 and fell 6 spots. Clemson lost to the 15th ranked team in the nation by 3 and fell 5 spots. Ohio State loses at home to an unranked Michigan team and fell only 4 spots. Make it make sense. What are you basing these teams off of? I've said it every time a ranking comes out. How are each of these teams being ranked differently? And again, this goes back to that Big Ten. Going to do a Team A and Team B with you real quick. Team A, 10-2, number 12 strength of record. Losses to SP Plus number 39 and number 51. Their best win is SP Plus number 12. Team B, 10-2, 14th strength of record. Losses to SP Plus number 50 and 59. Best win versus SP Plus number 18. Pretty similar resumes there. Team A is BYU. That is slightly better than Team B, which is Miami. BYU is ranked behind 3 lost Clemson. If losses to Arizona and Kansas are reason, then that has to be the same thing you base it on when you talk about Alabama and Ole Miss. Just a little fact there. Now, the elephant in the room. Alabama being in the playoff at the moment. This is surface level stuff. Just let me get through it, and then we'll talk about it at the end real quick. If you were trying to make a case for Alabama, and you went off of strength of schedule, South Carolina's is better. If you went off of strength of record, just an extension of strength of schedule, and they have a loss to 6-6 Vanderbilt and a 6-6 Oklahoma. If you do it off of stats, Ole Miss is better, SP+. Miami has the offense. Statistically has just a little bit better defense. Win-loss, Miami, Arizona State, and State, all 10-2 as 4 teams. And their best win, which is against Georgia, Ole Miss did it in a more dominant. So they don't really have the edge there in any of those categories if you base it off of categories. What a lot of people are going to say is that this is going to be the same as last year. Alabama is being picked based off of being better in a hypothetical situation with these other teams that are right there on the bubble. And it's not being done with what's done on the field. This committee, if they're prioritizing the brand and past success to determine who's getting in instead of on-field performance, it really undermines the committee, the sport, and tarnishes this process as a whole. I feel like the human bias aspect of this committee has been very evident over the last couple of years, and I don't like it, and it needs to be done away with. BYU, Ole Miss, and Miami are not locked down all year. There's only 12 teams on that list. 6 of them are in the playoff. However, if you dive deeper into this and you compare team by team, I think the committee made the right choice putting Alabama in. However, their reasoning for it, and whatever that dickhead tried to say last night was the dumbest shit he could have said. He made himself look like a dumbass. But if you break it down team by team of the team that's on, Alabama, I feel like, is the more deserving. Clemson, and well, I'll get into that later. But this committee is going to have to go back on there at some point, one way or another. Texas weekend. Alabama is in at the moment. Mm-hmm. You have 2 teams from the SEC with 3 losses. Are you head-to-head has been the biggest point with this committee the whole time.
Yeah.
So how do you justify putting Georgia ahead of Alabama based off that head-to-head when they both have 3 losses? Or are you going to have to go back on the fact and penalize Georgia for playing in a conference championship after you said you weren't going to do that? So they're going to have to go back on their word. But this committee, the committee needs to be done away with. I think there's way too much of human bias in this process, and that's what I got to say about that.
All right, that was some interesting thoughts, and yeah, we're gonna let Jordan follow that up. Jordan, what did you think, brother?
Look, if I repeat any of that, it's because I was catching like every third word.
Yeah,
from my ass. I'm sorry, I had a lot of cuts. So, I've seen all day South Carolina, Miami fans on Twitter, X, everywhere complaining about their snub on this. As far as the South Carolina fans, they don't have a leg to stand on. They've got, you lost the head-to-head to Alabama. Number one, just stop right there because you lost heads up. We know who the better team is. We saw it on the field. And if you want to look at Alabama's key victories, or their best victories, it was by 7 points over Georgia and by 2 over South Carolina. The same South Carolina that Ole Miss beat by 24 in Columbia. And a same Georgia team that down in Oxford, Ole Miss beat them by 18. If anybody has a complaint, it's probably the Ole Miss fans.
Yeah. I can see
that. As far as the seating, anyone, any place, anywhere, anytime. Big, small, little, tall, we'll take them all.
And hey, before Jordan's done, I need to add a few things onto the Ole Miss, the snub.
Yeah.
So whenever you finish, just let me know.
No, you can go ahead.
Yeah, we're
all right. So back to the snubs. I mentioned the SP.
I figured Jeff had the numbers covered on this the whole day. I just kind of threw my opinion out there.
Well, I definitely went more of the route of attacking the committee, and I'm hoping my mic's not cutting out anymore because apparently it was. So
now it's not.
Yeah, I don't know
if you guys ever paid attention too much to the SP Plus, which is it's a measure of the most substantial, predictable aspects of football. Mm-hmm. It just solely leans on if you're lucky or unimpressive in a win, or your rating will probably fall. If you're strong and unlucky in a loss, it would probably rise. Now, like in Ole Miss case, they had common wins with Bama. That was Georgia, South Carolina. They're ranked higher in SP Plus. The Rebels are number 3 in that SP Plus, which is ahead of Texas. While Bama, they come in at number 5. Miami at number 10, comparing now to Miami to all this chaos. And South Carolina was number 13 in the SP Plus. Bama lost a pair to 6-6 teams. Obviously, that's not a good look. But Ole Miss did lose to a 7-5 Florida team and a 4-8 Kentucky team. But again, if the records were all that mattered to the committee, Miami would be in the playoffs still. Yeah. Right. The SP ranks, Bama lost to. All right, so this is the teams that they lost to, like where their SP Plus ranks were. They lost to a number 8, a 31, and 58. That's an average of 32.3. You have Ole Miss lost to an SP Plus teams of a 17, a 22, and a 48. That's average of 29.0. Obviously, less is better. Mm-hmm. So an average Rebels loss wasn't as bad as Bama's. That's what I'm getting at. Yeah. And also talking about the inconsistency of this committee. And so Luke Jackson, who's a big Vol fan himself, he posted this earlier. This is the consistency of the damn committee that we have right now. And this is on the road losses for this year. That's Georgia lost on the road to Ole Miss. They dropped 9 spots. Miami lost on the road to Georgia Tech. Dropped 5 spots. Yeah. Miami lost on the road to Syracuse. Dropped 6 spots. Indiana lost on the road to Ohio State. Dropped 5 spots. Alabama lost on the road to Oklahoma. Dropped 6 spots. LSU lost on the road to Florida, dropped 7 spots. Texas A&M lost on the road to Auburn. That dropped them 5 spots. Iowa State, dog shit team, lost on the road to Kansas, dropped 9 spots to an unranked. Then you got Louisville, lost on the road to Stanford, terrible. Dropped 6 spots, by the way, just 6 spots to an unranked. Army lost on a neutral site to Notre Dame, dropped 6 spots to an unranked, 2 unranked. Pittsburgh lost on the road to SMU. They dropped 7 spots. And then Ole Miss lost on the road to Florida. And they dropped 5 spots after those road losses. Now, the home losses. You got BYU. They lost at home to Kansas. They dropped 8 spots. Kansas State lost at home to Arizona State. Dropped 10 spots. Texas A&M lost at home to Texas. Just keep listening to me. Texas A&M lost at home to Texas. Dropped 5 spots to an unranked. Washington State lost at home to Wyoming. They dropped 7 spots. Clemson lost at home to South Carolina. Only dropped 5 spots. Tulane lost at home to Memphis. They dropped 8. And then, here's the big one. The piece of shit team from last week. Ohio State lost at home to Michigan as a 21-point favorite. Michigan was 6-5. And they dropped only 4 spots. Get the fuck out of here. That's all I got.
Yeah. See that when my mic was cutting out, that was the first thing I brought up was the fact that Miami lost to number 22 Syracuse and fell 6 spots. Clemson lost to number 15 South Carolina, dropped 5 spots. Ohio State lost at home to an unranked Michigan team and only dropped 4. Like, make it make sense.
Hell, Tennessee beat Florida in overtime and dropped 4 spots.
Yeah. We win and drop.
I mean, won a game and dropped.
So Riddle, you did a great job. You broke it down eloquently. Tony, I agree. There's some bias in there. And so all I'm going to say is, if you're asking me, does Alabama deserve to be in the playoff? I told you, I didn't think they deserved to be in the playoff. I said that last week. They're in. Now, if you're going to sit there and argue with me that Miami should be in over them, I disagree. I'm not going to say that. But maybe Ole Miss has got an argument.
Yeah, Ole Miss is the only one with argument, really.
Even the Ole Miss argument, you could really have to, because they didn't play each other this year, you really have to go in and find a differentiator, and you look at common opponents. And that LSU one really stands out because Alabama beat the shit out of LSU, and Ole Miss lost to them. Yeah. So, and it was both of them were at LSU.
And they didn't do a great job. The Michigan guy kind of broke down the overall why Bama, but he didn't do a good job of explaining it. He kind of compared it to Miami because that was the first team that was sitting out. He didn't compare it to Ole Miss. He didn't compare it to South Carolina. But Bama, just some stats. I'm just throwing them out there. I've already said I didn't think they deserved to be in the playoffs, so just bear with me. Number 2 in opponent winning percentage of all the teams in the playoff. Number 4 in ESPN's FPI. That's number 4. Number 4 in ESPN's efficiency ratings for offense, defense, and specialty teams. Number 10, strength of record. 17th in ESPN strength of schedule, like Riddle. 3 wins against teams currently ranked in the top 25, which ties for the most. All that being said, that's just numbers. That's just hoodoo. There's still a bias. So what I did I went and posted the BCS simulation for the exact same season we're discussing. And Alabama in the BCS was ranked 11th.
All right, but just to play devil's advocate, you can and I brought this up. My mic was cutting out. The committee guy, Ward, whatever the fuck his name is. Yeah, dumbass. Talked about Alabama's record against the current top 25, but then fails to mention that they have 2 losses against teams that don't even have a winning record. Yeah, I mean. So what are you basing all these teams off of? And then just because the strength of schedule, the strength of record, if you do it off stats, win-loss, their best win, somebody did it better or is doing it better. But like I said, when I was cutting out, if you go team by team comparison, I do think Alabama has a slight edge once you start combing the hairs and finding the little things to differentiate these teams on the bubble. I know a lot of people are going to hang on to the bias from last year. Alabama, Georgia, who was number 1, they beat them in the SEC championship game. The big one was they jumped undefeated Florida State, and people want to scream SEC bias. But I think if you're prioritizing what happens on the field, you're doing it the right way. Prioritizing it based off of the hypotheticals. What would this team do if they played that team? You're really undermining the whole process, and I think it should go back. That was the last thing I ended on, was the bias of this committee is been very evident over the last 2 years, and it just needs to be done.
And that's why I posted what I posted, Riddle. If you go by the BCS rankings, which we've all said on this show that we're advocates for, because it took some of that bias out, we would still be ranked 11th. So after, like you said, you go around the whole circle, and eventually you still come back and go, well, goddamn, I still have Alabama here. I'm not saying they deserve to be there. None of us are on the panel, like we said many times. So we don't have a say in this. But, again, the numbers are the numbers. And here's the thing that I talked about when we were kind of starting the show. This is where we're going to talk. This is where the discussion starts. This could all get shaken up this weekend. If SMU loses to Clemson, loses to Clemson,
it's going to be another situation where the committee is going to have to go back on their...
Yeah, they'll have to figure out what happens. Penn State, Oregon, one of those teams is going to lose. Georgia, Texas, one of those teams is going to lose. But the big one is if SMU loses to Clemson, do you leave SMU up there with 2 losses? Remember, 2-loss Miami sitting on the outside looking in. Do you leave them in there?
Well, here's my thing on that, is the committee just had to decide whether a 2-loss ACC team was better than 3-loss Alabama. And they determined it wasn't because they put Alabama in and Miami out.
Yeah.
If SMU were to lose this weekend, they have to turn around and have the same discussion on a very similar team with the same Alabama team. And honestly, I think they make the same decision. I think Alabama would be in and SMU would be out.
Does anyone disagree at all? If UNLV upsets Boise State, there should only be one team from a Group of 5 conference in the playoff.
Oh, if UNLV wins, they're in. Boise
Okay. I just want to make sure I was because I've heard people saying that Alabama needs SMU to win and Boise State, and I'm like, guys, the only thing I can see is Clemson upsetting this apple cart right now, the way it stands. If y'all see something
the ACC championship game is the most important conference championship game this.
100%, I agree. Hey, Jordan, you got anything? I know you kind of come in, and we were already kind of talking about it.
Well, and I've been thinking about this a lot today. People, and I mean, there's an obvious bias for this committee, but at the end of the day, it's not a bias; it's a business. And the whole point of a 12-team playoff was to have premium matchups.
And we've talked about this. We've all talked about
this. That's what I mean. At the end of the day, if Alabama and Miami they've had identical records, identical schedule, identical stats. Alabama gets that nod. It's a bigger brand. It'll sell more tickets. It'll bring in more revenue. Yeah. At the end of the day, people have to realize there's a business aspect to this. These people ain't doing it out of the goodness of their heart. Everybody does anything in this world most of the time to make money. That's just, and college athletics has become no different, especially when you're paying kids $12.5 million for a 2 to 3 year deal.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I said that, and Riddle, I didn't put it as eloquent as he did when I was talking about that earlier. But what I meant is all this chaos that putting Bama at that selection at number 11 has caused. That's publicity, good, bad, indifferent. It's publicity. You're talking about the playoffs, and guess what? It's generating revenue for these guys. That's exactly what they want. They want the Ohio States in there. They want there to be controversy about where you put them. They want there to be controversy about the SMU, Clemson. They want all of this because they want you to be solely focused on college football for the next week and a half because it's generating them revenue. They want you buying tickets. It's a revenue. It's a business. It's a business. And, that's why I told you SEC would get 4 teams in. Still up for debate. We may not get 4 teams in because SEC sells tickets. SEC games have the highest ratings consistently year in and year out. And if you talk about playoff rankings, go back, look at the Georgia SEC games versus all the other ones. Look at Alabama. Our ratings are always higher. Nobody wants to see teams that don't have the SEC playing them. Doesn't happen often, but people pay to see the SEC. Anyway.
Cam, she asked, how come UNLV moves up to playoffs if they beat Boise? And they are ranked 20th. That's because they'll be the highest ranked group of 6 champions.
Yeah,
group of 5.
Well, it's group of 6 now. They call it group of 5.
But
Well, I forgot the pack dissolved. So, it's still group of 5. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Brain fart. But the highest ranked group of 5 champion is guaranteed a spot in the playoff as part of the committee setup. So,
that'll be a good offseason.
If UNLV wins that game. Yeah. And that'll be Friday night. That'll probably be the biggest game that night.
That'll be a fun topic for the offseason is not for next year, but the year after is if when the Pac-12 comes back, do they go to the group of 6 or do they bring back the Power 5?
They better bring some more heat.
Have you seen what they're bringing back?
Kippy brought up a good point.
The Mountain West.
And I want to say this. I want to say this out loud. This is the most the playoffs have ever been talked about. You're 100% correct, Kippy. They went to 12 teams. They want you talking about the 12-team playoff. This is the first 12-team playoff we've had, so they want us talking about it, which we are.
You can go back to 2014, the inaugural year of the playoff, and the fact that TCU was sitting at number 3 in the last ranking before conference championship, the penultimate ranking, won, and then got left out of the playoff. So for Ohio State, and Ohio State ended up going on and winning it. So
yeah. What's up, Jackson? Hey, all right. So we're gonna move on. I think we've covered this enough. Like I said, y'all keep shooting questions. We'll catch them as we go. Recruiting rankings. So we're just gonna go a quick rundown of the rankings. This is no shot at anybody, no slide at anybody. We all use different services, so it's no big deal. In 2 of the rankings, On3 and 247, Texas has slipped up to number 1. They got the athlete Terry today, the 5-star. Good for them. I know ESPN Riddle has Georgia number 1. There are 3 on this board. Do you have anything to comment on the Georgia? Any big time recruits you're excited about?
They landed the top 2 tight ends in the nation. One of them 6'7", 235. They're comparing him to Darnell Washington. That's pretty exciting for Georgia fans. The other one's 6'3", 230. He's the first in the H position. The other one's the Y position. But both of those tight ends are pretty good. Taylor Banks, the 31st overall commit, number 5 wide receiver. He's a 4-star, 6'1". He signed. Georgia can always use all the wide receiver help they can get. Defensively, Kirby knows how to bring in those defensive guys. We've got a couple 5-stars committed. One's a tackle, Elijah Griffin, 6th overall prospect. He's 6'4", 285. He's a tackle. And then the defensive end they got is Isaiah Gibson, 19th overall, 2nd defensive end. He's also 6'4", 240. So that's a few guys. And then there was a kind of a local guy for us from Rockville, a safety, 4-star, 6'1", 180. Jalen Morgan from Rockville signed with Georgia.
And I think
kudos to him.
Someone in the chat said Justice Terry announces Friday, so if Georgia were to get him, I fully suspect Georgia to jump Alabama in these rankings. They're, like I said, they're number 1 on ESPN already, but that leads into Alabama. I'm not going to touch too much on it. I will say we did get our guy Keelan Russell, number 2 player in the nation, number 2 quarterback behind the guy going to Michigan for all the money. So big time recruiter. We got some really big time O linemen and Michael Carroll, big time corners. We got a 6'4" corner, which is fantastic. Dijon Lee did flip Derek Meadows, a 6'5" receiver from LSU last minute. But the one thing I did want to touch on as far as Alabama recruiting is Ty Haywood was our 5-star tackle out of Texas. Been committed to us for quite some time, since July, and he has not flipped yet. He is apparently going to make a decision and sign on the original signing day. I'll call it the original signing day. And it is apparent that he is looking very hard at Michigan because Michigan is shelling out big numbers right now. And Tony, I'll let you touch on yours in a second, but Michigan's shelling out some big numbers to try to get him. I will, and if that's the case, I said this before, Alabama and Georgia are 2 teams that pretty much pay these athletes the standard. They don't go above and beyond. Maybe that's their own detriment, but at the same time, at least everyone's getting paid consistently. So we're going to see how long this goes, because the more these big teams and big programs keep paying these high dollars, Alabama and Georgia will have to jump in eventually, or get left in the dust. But going to the fourth team right now that jumped up a bunch of spots today is Oregon. Oregon jumped way on up into the top 5. Some huge commitments. One of the commitments I wanted to go on record as an Alabama Birmingham native, Naheem Offord. Never considered Auburn. They said he did, but he didn't. Never considered Auburn or Alabama. Committed to Ohio State. Ohio State was reportedly paying him $2 million. $2 million NIL deal package for him. Flipped to Oregon today. What the hell are they paying him? What the hell are they? We've heard about big deals for, and I say this with love, we've heard about big deals for quarterback. Quarterback makes that makes the money. I haven't heard about these big deals for these kind of players yet, so it's very interesting. And like I said, you just jump in. Ohio State, top 5 there. Auburn, with a very good year in recruiting, at 6th. Michigan, there's Michigan sitting up there at 7 with the Bryce Underwood signing, obviously. LSU had a couple decommits today. They've dropped down to 8th. Texas A&M sitting there at 9th. They were at 5th when the day started. So that just shows you how much movement has really happened. And then Tennessee has held true with 26 commitments at 10. I want to see what Jordan and Tony thought about their class.
Well, I mean, I never put too much value on this type of stuff anyways. The only thing, obviously, that's concerning is our highest rated, which is David Sanders Jr. He's not signing today. He postponed it for whatever reason. Mentioned that earlier. We were talking about it because apparently Ohio State's making a run. No, go figure. He wants to go play with the Michael Jordan and James Franklin. Go ahead. But Tennessee's made some key signings today. I really haven't been able to keep up with much of it today because I was having to do other things So with that being said, I'm not going to waste your time. I'm going to let Jordan talk about this. He's been on it more than I have. I guarantee that.
All right.
Nah, I really haven't, but
Anything, Jordan, on this part?
I just lost my spot. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right.
I had a little bit ready. I mean, the only big thing today for Tennessee was flipping the 4-star linebacker from Southern Cal. That'll be a huge addition. Outside of that, the Sanders postponement could be something, could be nothing. I mean, the way teams are throwing money around, who knows?
Tennessee can match it. Tennessee can match it.
Oh, I mean, yeah, they could match it, but at the same time, at what point do you kind of step back and take a professional, like a GM approach to this? And it's like, well, I can match it, but hey, you're really not worth it. I can better allocate those funds elsewhere.
Transfer portal with a proven commodity.
Absolutely. Yeah. With a guy that has a body ready to step in and compete from day one.
Yeah.
I mean, David Sanders is an absolutely monstrous human being, but he'll probably have quite a bit of playing time as a freshman as long as he follows through and signs with us. But he'll take some whippings on that line. I mean, that's the nature of the business.
Yeah.
Especially when you have upperclassmen that have been building their body for this and to go to the next level. We've heard all year long about the SEC bias and strength of schedule. It's a made up number, and it's really not. And days like today show it. The SEC had 22 5-stars signed today. All other conferences combined had 10. 9 in the Big Ten, 1 in the ACC, and 0 in the Big 12. You just named the top 10 classes. 4 of the top 5, 7 of the top 10, 10 of the top 15, all from the SEC. Even, mid-level teams like Auburn right now, still pulling kids in. Always have. That's why those games mean more. People around the country don't understand that, the college football is not a fall sport down here. It's a year-round business.
I hope so. We got a year-round podcast.
But if you want to know why, beating Auburn is in strength of schedule ratings. Beating a 6-6 Auburn team holds more weight than beating, say, a number 18 Illinois. Look at the recruiting rankings. You'll see the level of talent on that team and what it takes to beat them.
That's a very good point. Does anybody else want to touch on this recruiting before we jump to some of our marquee matchups? We've got quite a bit today.
Yeah, I just real quick on Georgia. 12 of their 16 ESPN 300 commits were in the state of Georgia. 20 total commits in the state of Georgia. So Kirby kept a lot of kids at home, which is really key for him down there. And then my most interesting flip of the day was Madden Iamaliava flipping from UCLA to Arkansas, setting up potential matchups with older brother Nico there with Arkansas and Tennessee. So I thought that one was an interesting flip.
I can't wait for Tony to call him mid all year.
Another mid.
I'm sorry. All right. So we're going to jump into the marquee matchups this week. So we're really just going to kind of touch on all of the ranked matchups, and then we'll select from every championship game in our top 25 selections. But we're going to start with Tulane at America's team, Army. We were rooting for Army for most of the year. They kind of fell off a little bit with that Notre Dame loss, but they still rolling in strong. A good year for them. They look like they're not the favorites right now, but bottom line is it's America's team. Everybody's pulling for them, but Tulane looks like they're pretty solid, but they did get beat. So it's kind of up in the air. Tony, what do you think? I'll let you just kind of lead the way.
It's Tulane Army, right?
Yep, Tulane and Army. Sorry.
Yeah, but now you're good. I was having to do something. Now this isn't the conference championship game. I don't think we were hoping it was going to be. From early in the season, But it's not what we're looking for. This is what we're going to get. Tulane, they've been playing decent ball behind quarterback Darian Mensah and running back Mekhi Hughes. They are coming off tough loss. Tough loss getting Memphis. I mean, it's nothing really for them to put their heads down about because Memphis is a bigger team. But, but this offense was fine. Defined through the air, but they were just shut down on the ground in that Memphis game. Game script probably took them out of that because they fell behind pretty early. But defense didn't play well at all either for Tulane compared to the last 3 games prior to that, where they only gave up 9 total points. Now we go to Army. Army really hasn't looked the same since after the beatdown they put on East Carolina. But I feel like Army still has a legit defense. Obviously, unless they're playing against a more bigger physical football team. Apparently, we just might as well give up on any Army or Navy type of playoff scenarios. It's never going to happen. Unfortunately, it's just not going to happen. They're just going to get manhandled by these bigger teams, schools. If you let Notre Dame manhandle you, you got a problem. But, Notre Dame, they gashed the Knights on the ground for nearly 300 yards. So that's where, the physicality kicks in from that point. And I feel like Tulane will be a problem for the Knights because they can run the ball. They're more physical, bigger team on the lines. They already took care of Navy, little brother apparently to Army. So if I had a bet, Tulane would probably take care of Army the same way they did Navy.
All right. Oh, God. Riddle, what's your thoughts on this one?
Man, I went back and forth on this one quite a bit. Tulane was really dominated in that Memphis. They were down 24-10 in the fourth, ended up 24. Gave up 454 yards. Memphis really slowed that game down, controlled the time of possession. I expect Army to try to do the same thing. I've changed my pick on this 3 times. I might change it again.
You start to break up.
I'm too far away. So Tulane in that last game had a lot to play for. They were looking at possibly being the highest ranked Group of 5 champion. They had 3 turnovers, gave up 454 yards. Was down 24-10 going into the fourth quarter before losing 34-24. Memphis really controlled the time of possession on them, and I expect Army to try to, follow that model. Daly is going to be the key in this game, and since his injury, since he's come back, he's not been the same, and he's all they got. I mean, it's plain and simple. Their points per game have dipped tremendously since he got hurt. So I think I'm going to change my pick again, and I am also going to go with Tulane in this game.
Jordan,
I might change it again by the time we make our picks.
Jordan, you're up here, brother.
Yeah, Tulane really.
Some posts, please.
I'm busy on you. Hold on. Where are they at?
Sorry.
Oh Lord! All right, well, guys, I'll tell you this. I'm going to take Tulane, and Chris is going to take Army. Chris says Army does just enough to keep the ball away from Tulane. So, with that said, Jordan, go ahead. Your pick.
Yeah, I'm going with Tulane in this one. Bryce Daly has not looked well. Tulane really crapped the bed last week. I mean, they had a legit shot at making the playoffs until that loss. The committee had them up there in a position to make a move and possibly even leave the Big 12 champ out altogether.
Yep.
But, what coulda, woulda, shoulda. This game opened up. It's at Army. Opened up, 4, I think, on Tulane. It's pushed up to 5. The market's backing it. I think the Green Wave take care of business.
Okay. Good deal. Next game we're going to go to is the UNLV at Boise State, which it's a conference championship.
Yep.
So
I can still hear you on
it does say that the location is in Boise, Idaho. That is very interesting. So it's that being said,
is it at Boise?
Yeah.
All these group of 5 championship games are at the home team's place of the higher ranked team.
For some reason, I was always thinking the Mountain West played there in Vegas at the Raiders.
But Tony, I'll let you start again with this one. Who you got?
Yeah. All right, so it's another rematch from October 25th. Boise scores 6 points to UNLV 0 in the fourth quarter to get Broncos a 29-24 victory. So I still think, because I remember picking UNLV to win that. And they almost did. They just shit the bed in the final quarter. It's a game where UNLV made Jeanty look pedestrian for his standards. 33 carries, 128 on the ground. That's a 3.9 average, almost like Derrick Henry when he's the Titans. And 1 rush touchdown. We all know Jeanty is the most important piece of that Broncos offense. So look for UNLV to try and slow them down again to give them a chance to win. The Rebels, they run the ball pretty well for themselves, but I'm not sure if they'll have enough juice to pull off the upset on the blue turf. So give me Boise State at home, winning in another close one against the Rebels.
All right, comment in the chat before we go to Riddle. Ned says, feeling like we're all boys now. Can we just all say we are? Yes, you can say that. You can say that. All right, Riddle, let me have it.
Yeah, Mountain West. This game being at Boise is going to make a huge difference in this game. Tony touched on it. The big thing that stood out from that last game is I feel like you sold out to stop Jeanty. Like they completely sold out just to stop him. And Madsen had a pretty good day. He was 18 for 209 and a touchdown. Had 3 carries for 58 yards. Touchdown. These two teams are very evenly matched. UNLV's only other loss to Syracuse 44-41 in overtime. I think that UNLV will give them all they want, and kudos to them for having the year they've had, especially after losing their quarterback after the first 3 games, transferring out over that NIL dispute. But I've got Boise State this one at Boise.
All right, Jordan, what's up, brother? Tell me.
Yeah, that last game was in Las Vegas right after that quarterback change. It was like 2 weeks after. And let's face it, that new guy stepped in and was a do-all, be-all for UNLV. It really caught a lot of people off guard, me included. I did not expect that. That game in Las Vegas was a lot closer than I thought it would be. That being said, I think Boise pulls away and wins comfortably at home. I just checked the weather. It's going to be in the low 30s. Little to no wind to speak of, just a crystal clear night in Boise. So weather is not going to be an issue. If they want to key in on Jeanty, there's no reason that Madsen can't carve him right back up again like he did last time. With the home crowd rocking, a championship on the line, I think Boise handles business and wins comfortably Friday night.
Yeah, so it being at home is a key factor, like you've all hit on, and I got Boise, and Chris has Boise as well. So I think that is critical, it being at home. Looking at our next one, this is one that's, I think, going to be an interesting game, to say the least. Iowa State, Tony's boys, at Arizona State. Jordan, I'm going to let you start with this one. Tell me what you got.
Yeah, I've got Arizona State winning this one. They're playing some really good football right now. They're getting Cam Scatterbo is running the ball well. The name's escaping on the quarterback, but he's throwing it well. Levitt.
Yeah,
Levitt. I just think Iowa State comes kind of limping into this game. They definitely played their better football early in the season, so I think Arizona State gets this one done. Gets their Big 12 title, their first in their inaugural season.
All right. Riddle, we'll go to you next. Who you got?
Yeah, Jordan kind of hit it on the head there. Iowa State's 3-2 in the month of November, and Arizona State's 5-0. They're definitely trending the right direction right now. He mentioned Cam Scadabos ran for 1,400 yards basically this year, 17 touchdowns. I think he's going to be the difference in this game, and I got Arizona winning the Big 12 and going to the.
All right. Tony, speak the gospel.
Yeah. I got to talk about my boys here. Hopefully, one last time,
for this season, brother.
It's funny because you know how I feel about like Illinois, Missouri, and Iowa State also goes into that category for me. Just another meh team, not good. They don't do anything good, not special. They had no business even being in a championship game. They had no business even sniffing playoffs. That's how big of a joke. But because the way it's set up, they have a shot, which is ridiculous. But they're another Big Ten team that feels like they should be in the Mountain. They're a Big Ten team that feels like they should be playing in the Mountain Conference. You know,
Big 12.
Big 12.
Big 10. No. I'm kind of comparing to Big Ten though, all in one because they're like the fucking same. But anyways, with that being said, look for Levitt and Scadabo to continue to have their way with another subpar defense. I'm taking Arizona State.
Yeah, me and Chris have Arizona State. Too much. You all put it very well. They're playing great football at the right time. They're hot right now, and Arizona State. They look good, playing good football. It'll be interesting to watch them in the playoffs. Arizona State. For me and Chris. All right, so now we're going to get into some of the meat and potatoes of this weekend. These are the games that matter, and we are going to start. We're going to start with the game, and we're just going to go based on time. And it's Riddle. This one's all you, brother. Georgia at Texas. We know where that location is. Pretty much a home game for Georgia. Let me have it.
Yeah, I spent more time on this game than any of the. Obviously, I really broke this thing down. So Georgia won the regular season meeting at Texas. In that game, Georgia's defense had 3 forced fumbles, 1 interception, 7 sacks, 10 tackles for loss, and 6 passes defended. Quintravian Weiser for Texas had 15 carries for 52 yards. The team had 27 carries for 29. Texas scored a season-low 15 points, had 259 total yards in that game. Since that loss, Texas is 5-0. They've played 6-6 Vandy, 7-5 Florida, 6-6 Arkansas, 4-8 Kentucky, and 8-4 A&M. In that 5-game stretch, they're averaging 28.8 points per game, 245 passing yards per game, 189.4 rushing yards per game. They've lost 4 fumbles and have 3 interceptions. The defense is only allowing 14.4 points per game, 158.6 passing yards per game, 103 rushing yards per game. They forced 4 fumbles and have 8 interceptions, so they got a +5 turnover margin. Georgia, since the win at Texas, they're 4-1. They've played 7-5 Florida, 9-3 Ole Miss, 10-2 Tennessee, 2-9 UMass, and 7-5 Georgia Tech. They're averaging 35.6 points per game. 296 passing yards per game, 125 rushing yards per game. They've lost 3 fumbles, only 4 interceptions. 3 of those came in that game against Florida. The defense is allowing 25.6 points per game, 194 passing yards per game, 176 rushing yards per game. They forced 5 fumbles and have 2 interceptions, so they're even in the turnover margin, but they're +3 in those last 3 games. Trending up for Georgia, Carson Beck, he's got 1,127 yards, 11 touchdowns, 1 interception, 1 rushing touchdown in those last 4 games. Georgia tight ends in the last 3 games have 24 catches for 298 yards and 4 touchdowns. Quintravian Wisner for Texas has 59 carries, 344 yards. He's averaging 5.8 yards per carry over the last 2 games. Trending down is Georgia's run defense. They've given up 486 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns in the last 2 games. Trending down for Texas is their points per possession, which is 2.12 points per possession over the last 3 games. For comparison, Georgia's 4.46. The key to this game is going to be Georgia's rush defense and the defense as a whole being able to disrupt like they did in Austin. And if they can do that, they should win this game again. Obviously, I'm going to pick, but I think it's going to be a good game. I think it'll be a lot different than the first time around.
Okay. All right. That's good. Tony, take it away.
Yeah, well, Riddle pretty much covered everything. But with all that hoopla being said, this should be a revenge game for Texas. They were embarrassed on that's a primetime game, wasn't it? They were embarrassed on their home field, primetime, baby. The last time they squared off, Texas has since done what they are supposed to do, and they did do that. The Dogs have been an emotional roller coaster, exact opposite. Very inconsistent, to say the least. So give me Texas to once again be embarrassed by the Dogs at home. One thing I've learned about Georgia this season, even though a lot of times we think they don't got it no more, but one thing I'll say is never count them out, even with all their faults. So I'm still going to take Georgia.
Okay. All right. Jordan.
So you're taking Georgia.
Yeah, he said, "Give me Texas to get embarrassed again by Georgia."
that confusion. All right, Jordan, you're up.
Yep. Before I start, Scoopski. If Notre Dame never lost that game to NIU, they very well could be number 1 and still be number 5 in the playoff. Without a conference, they'll never get a first round bye.
Yeah, that's right.
As far as this Texas Georgia game, y'all pretty well beat this to death. Texas got flat out embarrassed in Austin. I don't think that happens again. I think it's a tighter game. It pains me to say this, but give me the Longhorns. Give me the Longhorns to win SEC championship in their first year in the league, and we'll never hear the fucking end of it.
Oh yeah, I'm on the fence too. I don't know. Chris took Texas. He's riding with Jordan, and he's obviously going the route of. To me, it's a challenging pick. Like Tony said, Georgia's had their fair share of woes, turnovers. Like I said, we've sat here on this very podcast and talked about Carson Beck's problems and concerns, and then he comes out and just does what he needs to do to win against Georgia Tech, which it was ugly, but he won. I'm going to stick with my gut, and I'm going to stick with what I think Nick Saban would say, and I'm going to put my money on Kirby Smart, and I'm going to go with Georgia to win the SEC title. I'm going to go with the team that's been there and has the experience. So that's my pick on that. So going on to the next big game. Penn State at Oregon. This one's going to have implications on seeding. I think we all can agree to that. Obviously, the loser is going to go somewhere because I'm not sure if Penn State stays at 5. I don't know if they lose. Oregon will definitely be at 5 if they lose. But anyway, let's just sit here and let's just talk about that one. Tony, I'll let you start this one again.
All right. Well, it's actually crazy to say Oregon's playing anyone other than Ohio State in this year's Big Ten championship. But, thanks to Buckeyes underachieving like usual, Penn State finds themselves in a spot to possibly claim a conference championship, maybe the number 1 overall seed in the playoffs. Penn State will be showcasing a pretty good defense for Big Ten standards and an average offense led by the best tight end in the country, which is Tyler Warren. That's about it, though, for them. Oregon has pretty much been dominant against all their competition outside of a 16-13 win at Wisconsin recently. It was just a couple weeks ago. Oregon plays solid complementary football on both sides of the ball, which is something Penn State definitely doesn't do. Obviously led by Dylan Gabriel and Dan Lanning's calling the shots. It's really hard to see Penn State coached by the loser-ass coach himself, James Franklin, to overcome the quack attack. So Oregon wins this comfortably with not much resistance from the Cougars.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Riddle, go ahead. How do you follow that?
Whatever the fuck they are.
The Nittany Lions.
I say Cougars. I say Cougars because I don't know something about their fucking logo. It reminds me of the Cougars. I don't know why, but I'm in Nittany Lions. We know what shit team I'm talking about.
All right, go ahead.
No confusion.
Oh my God.
So the interesting thing to me about this matchup is that Oregon's only a 3.5 point favorite right now. I thought that was a lot closer than what it would be. I didn't say there would be like 20 point favorites, but I thought it'd be a little bit more than The matchup predictor, according to ESPN, is actually giving Penn State a 54% chance to win this game, which really blew my mind. Big Ten ranks offensively. Penn State is 7th in passing, 2nd in rushing, 4th in points per game. Oregon's 2nd in passing, 5th in rushing, 3rd in points per game. Defensively, Penn State's got a little bit of an edge, but I just don't know how you can pick against a team that's undefeated in that conference going against Penn State, who has only played Ohio State this year and lost without scoring a touchdown defensively. Mm-hmm. So I've got Oregon winning this game, even though user there in the chat says they will not beat Penn State.
Okay. All right. Cool. Jordan, what you got?
Yeah, this game opened at 4.5. It's down to 3.5. That move's kind of puzzling to me. This could be a head fake situation, waiting for limits to go up. I would not be surprised if this game doesn't close around 5.5, maybe even up to 6, unless I'm just completely missing something. I mean, this Penn State team is nothing special. Outside of Tyler Warren, man, it's like a 6A Texas high school team. Let's be honest. That being said, I know Oregon. They're not East Carolina, but I still think Oregon gets a win, gets an easy cover in this one.
All right, so Chris has Oregon, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it. This is the reason why Oregon wins this game. James Franklin cannot beat a top 10 team to save his life. He's still on the sidelines. He's still over there coaching at Penn State, and he'll find a way to fuck up and lose. It's going to happen. Mm-hmm. Bottom line is Oregon's going to go in there and handle business. I don't know if it'll be pretty. I don't know what's going to happen. But I will say this, the speed in that dome up there in Indy, Oregon's going to run wild on them. And James Franklin don't know what to do.
They're not playing in Happy Valley with shitty lighting and knee-high grass.
So they won't know what to do. We got Oregon. But all right, last game for the matchup portion, and this is huge because this is the one that we think has the biggest implications on the actual rankings of the playoffs. Clemson at SMU. That's in Charlotte. So we're going to start with you, Jordan. Who do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I've got SMU. I think SMU handles business in this game. Let's face it, SMU has won this year. They've won on the West Coast. They've won on the East Coast. They've won games in the middle of the country. They have really been the epitome with that ACC schedule, regardless of how weak it was, as anybody, anytime, any place, anywhere. This game opened at 1. It is Clemson -1. It's since flipped to SMU -2.5. And I think that's the right side. I think the Mustangs cruise late.
All right. There you go. Riddle, you're up.
Yeah, so I had this one. I saw it opened at 2, but it has flipped to 2.5 for SMU, and that's a pretty significant change there. Definitely tell you where the money's going. Like Brandon said, this game's going to impact the playoff more than anything, and it's really this game more than any other will make that committee have to backtrack and come up with an excuse for saying some of the dumb shit that they said this year. SMU has only played one ranked team this year, and they lost. It was to BYU. Clemson has played 2 ranked teams this year and lost to both of them currently.
Whoa, no, they didn't.
Who's that?
Are you talking about ranked right now or ranked at the
top? Yeah, currently ranked.
Oh, okay. I think they drilled Pittsburgh.
Well, they're like 7-5 or 8-4 now.
Yeah, they fell off. That game just like Navy stole their soul.
Yeah, just currently ranked teams.
Okay, my bad.
SMU lost to BYU and Clemson lost to both Georgia and South Carolina. The one big thing for me is Clemson's got one of the best turnover margins in the nation. I talked about this going into that South Carolina game. And it's plus 14. They're 5th in the nation in turnover margin. They're also, surprisingly, 8th in the nation in total yards, which I thought was pretty wild when I was looking this one up. I think this is a huge game for SMU. Clemson's been here before. Dabo's been. And I'm going to err on the side of been there before, knows what the moment's going to be like, with a coach that doesn't believe in the portal and the NIL, that has experience in these games. I'm going to take Clemson in this game.
Well, it's big. Okay. That would be absolute chaos. Tony, let's hear what you got to say.
On, let me preface that by saying that if Clemson wins that game, Alabama will get in, because then they'll have to compare SMU with Alabama.
And you think
you still have time to change your pick?
You think we're in, no matter who? Okay. Well, that'll be interesting, Riddle, because I'm still, like I said, I'm still leaning on it. We've seen what happens when people revolt in college football. People change their tune real quick. I think we didn't say something about Tennessee not allowing a coach to come down just this
committee this committee will have finalized their decision before anybody. So
I know. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Tony,
I'll go.
You go.
Yeah, it's just another really pathetic team I'm having to talk about. Clemson, as I spoke of Iowa State, Clemson's not on that level of Missouri and Illinois and Iowa State, but they're just a team that just, for some reason, they piss me off. They have no business in this championship game, have absolutely no ground to stand on when even thinking about mentioning them for the playoffs. But here we are. So thanks to Miami for not doing their damn job last week against Syracuse. We get to talk about crybaby ass Dabo Swinney. One more time, at least. And the Tigers for one more time. Again, Clemson, mediocre team. Don't care what anyone says. They're mediocre, led by a mediocre quarterback. Don't care what anyone says. Don't care if he was a Heisman candidate at one point. Don't care, because guess what? He got kicked out of that Heisman talk a long time ago under Klubnik. Supported by a mediocre defense. They don't have that defense no more. Don't care what their coach has done in the past. That was with a Trevor Lawrence-led team with a badass defense. SMU, on the other hand, they've been consistently consistent, unlike Clemson. They just take care of business for the most part. And this game's just business to them. I don't need to hear people say to not sleep on Clemson, because guess what? I'm going to keep sleeping on them. SMU wins. I think they'll dominate them. And they'll get to drink Dabuhoo's tears at the after party.
The boohoo. All right. Chris has SMU, and I'm going to say this. Jordan's right. SMU's been all over this country, and they've played everywhere, and they have came into the conference this year and really just, like you said, anywhere, anytime, any place, just really embraced their entrance to the ACC, and they've really kind of, like I said, won the games they needed to win. They haven't played a lot of ranked teams, obviously, like Riddle alluded to, but I think they beat Clemson because they're playing good, consistent ball. They actually play some defense, and their offense seems like it's a little more sound than Clemson's is. And I'm going to pick SMU, and I'm just going to hope that ends all the chaos, and then we just have the playoff. And I know people will still be mad, but it'll be what it'll be, because, like I said, I'm still not sold. Riddle's sold on. I'm not sold that Bama gets in if Clemson wins. But, I've been wrong before, so we'll just call it like it is. I mean, wherever the playoff committee lands, that's what we're going to have to accept. We all played on the field, and the teams that have 3 losses, we really don't have a leg to stand on. So whoever they put in over us, it is what it is. But with that said, that's going to end the marquee matchup segment. And we are going to go into our top 25 selections, which we only have a few more to pick from.
Just really top 25, rest of the conference.
But we're just going to pick the rest of the conference championship games, because we thought it would be fun and just to fill up some show here. So we're going to start, and we're just going to go start with Tony. Riddle, you get the next game. Jordan, you get the last one. Western Kentucky at Jacksonville State, Friday night. Jordan, this is the game to watch Friday night. Fuck Boise State. This game right here down there in Jacksonville, Alabama is going to be a highlight show. Tony, who you got?
I'm taking the Hilltoppers.
Hilltoppers. There you go. Hell yeah. Good shit. Riddle, who you got, brother?
I got Jacksonville State winning the Conference USA Championship.
All right. Jordan.
Yeah, if Tony's looking for a friend here, he ain't gonna find one. It's
I don't need friends.
Jacksonville State's at home. they handle business, get a Conference USA championship.
Yeah, I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to win.
Tony, you got a friend. You got a friend in Chris. Chris says he'll be your friend, and he'll pick Western Kentucky.
Chris, my friend. See?
Western Kentucky did beat Jacksonville State by 2 points in the regular season. It was the last game played, actually, but it was at Western Kentucky. It was at Western Kentucky, and I think Jacksonville State being at home, it will make a difference. Like we said, these conference championships at home make a huge difference in the implications. I think we can all agree to that. Okay, that was good. So this one is interesting. Ohio versus Miami of Ohio for the MAC championship. Jordan, you allude to the MAC so much in our talks all the time. But anyway, Riddle, who you got? I think we're breaking up. Hold on. Everybody froze. Damn it.
Hello?
I can hear Tony. I don't know what's happening. It's the call. It's the Discord. It's the Discord call. Hey, can y'all hear me? Let me hop out. All right, y'all hear me now? The Discord, Discord's what messed up. I don't know. I don't know what happened, but I had anyway. I apologize. I apologize, everybody. Tony, I'm sorry. Lead the way. No, who was it? Was it Riddle? Your turn. Your turn. Riddle.
Yeah, I think so. I've got Ohio winning this one.
Okay.
Yep. Same. That's what I gave me the green earlier. Ohio.
Okay. All right. Jordan, who you got?
I mean, yeah, this might be the game of the morning on Saturday. These might be the only teams from Ohio to play for a championship this year. That said, give me the Bobcats.
Bobcat.
Slight dog, but give me the Bobcats. Come out barking Saturday morning and bring home the MAC title.
All right. Well, me and Chris are going to walk on the wild side. We're going to go Miami of Ohio. And like I said,
fighting Roethlisberger's.
Yeah, that game is actually in Detroit, Michigan. Interesting enough. So that game will not be home field, but Miami of Ohio for that. And then the final game of the evening, or the final game of our selection, will be Marshall at Louisiana. Jordan, we'll let you start.
I mean, there's only one right answer here. Give me the Raging Cajuns.
No.
Yes.
There is only one right answer to this game. I mean, you're talking about a team that had 2 plays on offense, first down and touchdown. Give me the Raging Cajuns to just absolutely mollywop Marshall.
Mollywop Marshall. All right, Riddle.
Yeah, there won't be no movie made about this team. Louisiana I feel like they're going to dominate this game. I've got also the Raging Cajuns, not from Lafayette no more, just the University of Louisiana.
All right, Tony.
Well, I'm going against both of you, so I'm taking Marshall. The Herd, they were good to me a few times this year when I took them on spreads. So I'm a row with them. Give me Marshall.
Okay.
Coincidentally, this spread is the biggest on Championship Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure is. Sunbelt Billy wishes he was in this game.
Chris and me both have Louisiana. So Tony is rolling on by himself for that one. And then Riddle, go ahead and tell us where we stand, because we did not pick enough. So if you have a big enough lead, you might have just took the title.
No, I think anybody with these 9 games could technically still win. I know a lot of these games we picked the same, but there is some discrepancy in it.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm at 115-29. Brandon, you're 113-31, so you're only 2 games back. Tony is 110-34. Chris is 109-34, and then Jordan is 107-37.
Jordan's out.
Pretty much.
Okay. All right. So anyway, hopefully we'll get to finish where we started. And like I said, maybe next year we tweak this a little bit. We do it differently. Jordan had some ideas, and like I said, we'll figure out the best way to do that. Make it more interesting for the fans and everybody else. All right. So looking at that, we are now at the UConn Cornelius segment.
I think he's frozen again.
Are you there, Yukon?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Okay. Your video's frozen, but you're here.
You're looking right at me.
All right.
deep into my
there he goes. He's selling deep into our soul for a minute there.
Sorry, I had it.
Jordan, go ahead, and what we'll do is we're running out of topics here. So go ahead and give me your record from the previous week overall for the year, and just give me the picks you think are solid. You don't even have to be 3. You can give me all of them if you want. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't know that I'll have 3 this week. Last week, got back on the winning side, finished 2-1. Hawaii +3. Never trailed in that game on the island. Boston College handled business. The only loss was Liberty, laying 3 against Jacksonville State. Caden Salter did not play well at all. Ankle injury really hampered him. They brought their backup in to start the second half. He came out, got a first down, and immediately went 3 and out and looked very bad doing it. That brings us to 8-10 on the year. Definitely not some of my best work. That being said, I have a couple games I like this week that to get us back to 500 on the year. First one being Arizona State -2. Arizona State's the hot team right now. I just don't see Iowa State having enough to slow them down with the confidence they've built over the month of November. The other spot is SMU -2.5. I'm just not sold on this Clemson team. A lot of their success comes on creating turnovers, and we all know you can't guarantee and depend on turnovers every game. I think SMU is going to be too much. Rhett Lashley just got that big contract extension. He'll have his boys fired up in Charlotte, and SMU by a field goal or better.
That's right.
All right. So that concludes the actual podcast portion, but we want to leave it and open it up to the fans. I've already got one comment picked out that we're going to talk about. From Slubadub69. By the way, when are we going to talk about how the SEC is not good? So
probably never.
I'm going to throw this question to Jordan because Jordan, I thought you put it very well when you discussed the recruiting rankings earlier, and I'm going to let you tell him why the SEC is good.
Well, I don't know who this cat's a fan of.
He's an Ohio guy.
Do what?
He's an Ohio guy, that's for sure. He's a Browns fan.
I say the Browns. Okay.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, the SEC signed 22 5-stars today across the conference. The other 3 Power 4 conferences combined had 10. 9 of those being in the Big Ten. And I'm willing to bet the majority of those were between Michigan and Ohio State. So in that conference, and Oregon, I forgot, Oregon had a couple big signings today. Kept the one kid from the receiver from flipping to Florida. But when you have that kind of talent coming in, and this is not a one-year thing, this is every year. 4 of the top 5 classes signed today, 7 of the top 10, 10 of the top 15. So that tells you there are the top 10 teams in the SEC are recruiting better than 90% of the country. So, when you beat an Auburn who's having a down year, the talent's still there. So it's not a lack of talent. It's coaching, it's execution, even something as small as discipline. But that's why the SEC, those wins matter more. That's why people say, "Oh, we don't get respect for beating Illinois and they're number 17." Yeah, well, they're 17 because they're 8-1 and they've beat the bottom 7 teams in the Big Ten who have combined for 3 wins. I mean, there's reasons for that. It's not all a flat level playing field. There's levels to this, with the SEC being upper echelon, Big Ten, and then you've got just everybody else.
All right. So Zach McGeehee said USC deserved to make the playoffs. I'll let Riddle field that question. I feel like you probably are best suited with the knowledge to field that question.
So basically, it comes down to the fact that they were sitting on a bubble with two teams that beat them, and then Miami, and those head-to-head matchups matter. And yeah, they have an argument as being one of the hottest teams in the nation right now, but you can't overlook the losses that they had to Alabama and Ole Miss on the field. And that is the reason that they're eliminated in my eyes. Kudos to them for turning their season around because they were left for dead early in this year. Do they have an argument? Of course they do. But the fact of the matter is you had a chance on the field to get in and you didn't do it. So it is what it is at this point.
So we're going to jump on this Josh guy. If you are not sold on Clemson now, then this time next week, you will know number 12 and number 1 by name. SEC this, SEC
what are you
that.
talking about? I'm not sure what number 12 and number 1 mean.
Yeah, man, we all can't be in the SEC. Join another conference. Josh,
go ahead. We're fans of SEC teams, but I mean, we talk about all conferences and top 25 matchups, and we watch football as a whole.
And Josh, I assume you're a Clemson fan, right? You got beat by two SEC teams.
Klubnik number 12.
I actually picked Clemson to win the ACC championship game. I was the only guy on this panel to do so. But it kind of goes back to the reason the SEC is so hated is they've got 15 national championships since 2000. So
yeah, I mean
15 and 23 years.
They can't stand that. Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to do what I said I was going to do. Whenever I was talking about Clemson and SMU game, when I said I don't want to hear anybody tell me to not sleep on Clemson, I'm gonna keep sleeping on Clemson. I'm gonna go to bed tonight and I'm gonna sleep on them. Okay,
they're gonna be on his pillow. They're gonna be on his pillow.
He's got a tiger. He's got a tiger on his pillow that he is gonna lay his head on.
I have a little plush tiger. I'm gonna put my head on his ass. All right, I'm gonna have some sweet dreams of the tigers getting blown the fuck out. I'm sleeping. I'm gonna keep sleeping on them. They're not. So.
Josh, like I said, I picked Clemson. I think their experience will play out in this game, and I'm the only person that picked them on this panel, so I hope they do win because I want to see the chaos. I still think Alabama's going to get in because the committee just picked Alabama over Miami, and then they would have to make the same determination over Alabama and SMU. And it's the same thing for all those ACC teams. I mean, I know you're in a conference that after the top 3 is not very good, and you have to play who you have to play, and I understand that, and I get that. But
he was just talking crap.
I hope Clemson wins. I want to see Clemson win. I want this committee to suffer as much as possible because all they've done this year since they've come out with these college football playoff rankings is put themselves in a position of pain. And I want to see more of it.
I don't.
Jeff is hating on the committee right now, like that ex-girlfriend that just slashed 3 of his tires. I mean,
the committee's crap, but I'm not rooting for Clemson to win, especially with that coach. Hell no.
That's
but good luck to you, Josh.
What'd you call him? Deboohoo?
Deboohoo Sweeney.
Deboohoo Sweeney. Oh man, hey, go ahead, Jordan.
The reason there is so much SEC hate, and I know Jeff and Tony have already heard that this week. You know why they call lovable losers, right? Because everybody hates a winner.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the fact of the matter. Everybody hated the Patriots when the Patriots were winning. Before that, nobody knew who the Patriots were, except they had a little guy that was squatting like he was taking a poop on the helmet. It's always the trendy thing to do to hate on the successful teams, the successful conference. And I've never understood that. Instead of, from my fans, I guess I do understand. I take that back. Because they can't control anything. They can't make their teams and urge their conference to get better and put better products out there. So they just have to go to the next best thing, which is try to tear down what is the mountain standing in front of them.
Yeah. Well,
I can go ahead and tell you that 90% of Alabama's problems and the reason they hate them is all these bandwagon fans they picked up since 2008. They're insufferable. Some of them, not all of them.
No,
you and Chris are fine.
Texas is TU. TU. There's only one UT, and we wear Pantone 151C.
you didn't know what you walked into. His name is F the Dogs.
That's fine. They tried to do that back in October and got fucked themselves. So
Big Hunt had a great comment, and it says this committee is a joke. I don't know what's worse, them or the BCS. Well, Big Hunt, I'm glad you asked that because we pulled that up earlier. And the BCS simulated for this year would have Bama at 11, just like the playoff committee did. So maybe the playoff committee is using the BCS and just not telling anybody. Maybe they're that incompetent. I don't know. But
I will say this in the defense of the BCS. Back when the BCS was a thing, they were trying to pick the 2 best teams every year. And you're gonna get some argument and some butt hurt and all that when you're only trying to pick 2. Hell, we saw a lot of butt hurt through the years when they picked 4 with the committee. But with 12, once you get down there towards the end of the 10, 11, and 12, it's more of, hey, if they win, it's going to be a feel-good story.
Yeah.
Can they win? Yes, but everything has to go right. They have to play their best ball and everything. But I would love to see the BCS computers come back for the top 12 because I really don't see there being much of an argument. We'll see how this year plays off. Now, based off the bracket that's out right now, if that was the bracket, I think Penn State and Alabama have the 2 easiest paths to the Final Four from what I saw.
I think it'll change, though. I think it'll change.
It absolutely will change with those Oregon, Penn State, Georgia, Texas. My biggest question, and I'd like to hear y'all's answer to this, is the hypothetical. If Georgia loses to Texas this weekend, which part of what the committee said are they going to go back on? Are they going to penalize Georgia for playing in the conference championship game and rank them lower than Alabama? Or are they going to honor what they've been doing all year and the head-to-head mattering? It's going to be interesting to see what they do with those 2-3 loss teams if Georgia loses this weekend.
That's why, Riddle, you said that Bama's in. You said that. You said you thought they were. That's worst case scenario because then you've got Georgia, who you say shouldn't be penalized for losing. But then if SMU loses, are they going to be penalized for losing? It's going to be a very interesting circumstance, to say the least. I don't know what the answer is. I do not know what I would keep Georgia in front of us because they are the number 2 team in the SEC right now, regardless of what happens.
Joel Klatt, if you want to see a really in-depth breakdown of the bubble, Joel Klatt covered that today. I know what y'all think of Joel Klatt, but he really broke that down really well. And he said that he felt like win or lose for SMU, that Alabama's going to get in. But based off of the resume, based off of everything, based off of who you played, everything, Alabama's just the better team.
Yeah. So good comments coming in. Good comments. Jared said Georgia stays in front of Bama unless they're blown out. Bama is out if Clemson wins, and we kind of just touched on that. If Clemson wins, then you're comparing Bama and SMU, and some of these guys don't think that's going to be much of a comparison. Now,
Big Hunt in the comments just said UGA lost to Ole Miss and fell 9 spots. OSU loses to unranked Michigan, fell 4. Yeah, Tony touched on that pretty good. I touched on that. The inconsistencies from this committee on how they rank these teams losing. I think it was the smallest fall for a team that has lost because Tony broke that down pretty much in depth. Hell, Tennessee fell just as far for winning a game this year at one point. So,
yeah.
Big Hunt also earlier said that Texas and the SEC title games they had the easiest schedule. They had a very favorable entrance to the SEC this year. I can't remember if I was and mentioned this to y'all here. I've talked to a few people about this. Just 100% conspiracy theory and more or less just for fun. Maybe that was part of a deal cut to make this Texas-Oklahoma thing happen. Texas giving up the Longhorn Network. Maybe there was because, next year you're going to run the conference schedule right back just the way it was, except, everybody's, home and road is flipped. So that's almost a 2-year setup of a really soft in-conference schedule. Now, I can't remember. I think Texas does play somebody good on the road next year to open the year, maybe. I was looking at those schedules last week. But, I say just more or less a joke, tongue-in-cheek, completely just, tinfoil hat. But maybe there's something to that where they was, a little favorable schedule handed out because, hey, you're going to lose your own TV network, and you're having to become a smaller fish in a bigger pond, so to speak, compared to what they were, originally accustomed to.
Yeah, that's Jordan. And to answer your question, Texas opens up at Ohio State.
Ohio State.
Okay, I was thinking it was. I knew it wasn't Oregon, but I couldn't remember if it was Ohio State or who. But
yeah, so Texas next year, where they were home a lot, they play at Ohio State. Neutral site against Oklahoma, at Florida, at Georgia, at Kentucky, at Mississippi State. And the Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, and Mississippi State games are all consecutive.
Yeah.
And the SEC is still up in the air about how they're going to do the conferences. Because last time they were talking about just this SEC spring meetings about going to a 9-conference schedule. If they change that, then this schedule's thrown out the window. Not saying they will. They may have a date that they implement it too. That could happen as well. But
I think it would be for the 2026 season if they go to a 9-game schedule.
They've already said that next year your conference schedule will be what you had this
exactly
year.
The same, just flipped. Yep.
But I would love to go to a 9-game conference schedule.
I think they should.
To me, as Tennessee fans, kind of wild. Played Mississippi State at home this year, going to Starkville next year. First time we played Mississippi State in probably a decade, and we've been in the conference with them since back in the damn 70s. I mean,
let's see here. It says, why is nobody talking about Notre Dame should be so below Indiana? That comes from Landon.
We have hammered that horse this year.
Yeah.
I will give Notre Dame a few flowers. Since that early season loss at home to Northern Illinois, where I wrote them off, the games that I have watched them, they do play very physical and they do play very good. Now, again, that's against the strength of schedule that they've played. They get to play the big boys coming up, and we will find out exactly what they're made of.
Yeah. So someone asked, do you know who LSU plays first next year? Yes, it's Clemson. Those award winners. Clemson's a glutton for punishment, apparently.
I'm probably butchers. Cam Shea. I think North Dakota State could definitely compete in the group of 5.
Mm-hmm.
Without a doubt.
They just got to come over. They just got to come over.
I wonder about their resources. I mean, let's face it, North Dakota's not a boom state. It's one thing being the top of FCS, but you make that move over, recruiting and everything will change. And I agree as well. I hate same person. I hate to say that they got rid of divisions, but I mean, let's face it. Like with the SEC right now, you're going to play everybody in your division if you kept it East and West. And you would have your one crossover game, which would be your one crossover rival. So you'd play the same 8 teams every single year with no room to rotate.
Right.
So that's why most of when these conferences became, super conferences, had to get away from the division part of things.
Yeah, and I'm glad they did.
You'd have the same teams playing over and over and over.
We had such a good football. I'm a Bama fan, and I know we didn't have the best year, but it was such a good year for football. The rivalry, the SEC, the way it played out, it was fun. We all had our chances. Some people made the most of them, but like I said, it was fun because it was so different than what we were used to. Playing the same mediocre teams on your side or that side, it just got old quick. Like Jordan said, There was years where the East was as dominant as any division in football, and there was years, for many years, the West was as dominated as anyone could remember, and it did away with all that. Now you play everybody or have the opportunity to. So,
well, I mean, it's set up now. At least the goal. I know with the SEC, Greg Sankey was talking about before Oklahoma and Texas, they were getting their divisions. That the way this would set up is where if you came and played 4 years, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, you would have a chance to play every team in the conference, both home and away. And for a long time, you had your one cross-division rival, like Tennessee and Alabama. That was our cross-division rival. And every other team was on a rotation, and even home and away on a rotation. So, like you get Auburn or anybody, you may go 10 to 12 years between playing them at home. It just – so, hey, you lost to them last time. Yeah, well, they've graduated 17 classes of kids since last time we saw them and changed coaches 3 times. So, it doesn't really mean, you'll look back on that. Yeah. So I'm excited. This is one of the things of this new era of college football I'm excited about. You'll see teams conference-wise play each other a lot more often.
Cam, you asked a good question. So wait, Bama will not have to play LSU and Tennessee every year since the division is gone. We will play Tennessee every year right now. Tennessee is that's third Saturday. Travel. And technically, if they keep it to one rivalry, so basically, there's a whole argument to be made on that. But bottom line is, right now we will play those guys. USC. Go ahead.
What is your 3, Brandon? Auburn, Tennessee, and LSU.
LSU. The argument was so Tennessee. It shouldn't be Vandy because Vandy's a nobody. It's not even a rivalry.
Vandy beat you this year.
Yeah, they're not a rival to Tennessee though. They're not they dominated the series. We even talked about that. It's like 80s 5-19.
Fun fact: the second most points Vandy put up this year was on Alabama.
Yeah. The real thing is Alabama's biggest and oldest rival is Mississippi State. It's the closest team to Alabama. It's 70 miles between the two. So that was the argument.
Everybody traveling covered wagon.
Yeah, that was the argument. But that was the argument was Mississippi State should have been the third. Tennessee, Auburn, there's no question that those have to stay. They're staples in the Southeastern Conference.
It's supposed to be pretty good.
Here, Landon said, "Okay, guys, I'm going to start an argument. Are you ready?" Yes.
Absolutely. Yes. We're always ready.
Team.
Let's see here. Billy Games is coming in hot. He said he can't stand Alabama. Alabama doesn't belong in the playoffs. Lost in Nashville, Knoxville, and Norman. Yeah, all away games. You're right. Auburn, Tennessee, and LSU should be the 3. Caleb Story said that's who the 3 are. The argument is why is LSU the 3rd? That's the argument, Caleb. Why is LSU the 3rd? Is it because of recency bias? Which, if that's the case, then yes, they should be the 3rd. To bored me to death is no little Nicky. That's pretty good.
I just saw that one.
That's pretty good. Let's see here. Alabama flew 700 miles to kick a field goal and lost to an online team. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. It's your boy AJ said it. 11 and 12 are not locked.
Not at the moment, but
yeah,
I feel like they. Like I said, I think.
Billy Games, we're glad you're here. Billy Games says committee has major bias for Alabama. The BCS was simulated, and Alabama was still 11th, Billy. So I know I know you're mad, but the committee.
Yeah, but that goes back to last year too, of them putting Alabama in over an undefeated ACC champion too.
You're not leaving the SEC.
Miami's not in.
You're not leaving. Let's see here. Where Miami being in? Miami's not in. They're not in. Go Clemson. No. Go UNLV. Anybody but Alabama. That's what we said, Billy. We may still. I don't think we're in if Clemson wins, but these guys do. But I would have liked to have had South Carolina in over Alabama. That's a valid point. But we actually made an argument that Ole Miss should be in over South Carolina. So it's
Carolina lost to Alabama and got drilled by Ole Miss. I mean, Ole Miss pretty well kills the argument as far as the way the committee has handled things this year.
Ole Miss actually has the better argument.
Agreed.
Of the teams on the bubble, and even then, like, you have to go so far as to find the common opponents to separate those two teams, and that I'm telling you, the LSU game sticks out a lot when you compare those two teams.
Yes.
Billy Game says teams shouldn't be punished for playing championships. That's a bad precedence. I agree with that. I do, but I don't agree. I don't agree with the tie-ins either. I think you should get a spot, but not a dedicated spot for bye. So, anyway, see here.
So if USC played Ole Miss today, we'd smack them. I mean, that's debatable. Like
you had your shot.
Say, if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, oh, what a party we'd throw.
You had your shot, man. It doesn't. That doesn't matter. I mean, if Alabama played Vandy today, they might get beat again. They might beat Vandy. I don't know. We lost.
I think y'all would house Vandy if y'all played again right now.
That was ridiculous.
I'm just saying.
I mean, let's be honest. Y'all caught Vanderbilt before people figured out how to stop Pavia.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Pavia ran wild on you. And
like I said,
did a couple more times, and then people realized, hey, if we just spy him, he can't beat us with his arm.
Yeah, the 40 points Vanderbilt scored against Alabama was the second highest output of points they had all year. Second to only their output against Alcorn State in week 2. So
Billy asked a very interesting question. He said, I wish SMU would say, hey, we're not playing in the championship and give it to another team. That would end it real quick. I don't think you have an option to do that. There's television TV contracts and there's requirements for these conferences.
That is an interesting thing because you can deny a bowl bid. Why couldn't you deny a conference championship game if it's going to keep you out of the playoff playing for the ultimate goal?
Well, I mean, because when you play in it and win it, you get that extra week. And then, let's face it, man, I've been looking at this. It's going to be difficult for anybody with a first-round game to win this playoff. You're going to play 4 weeks. Correct me if I'm wrong, is there a week break between the semifinals and the finals? Or is it 4 consecutive?
I don't know. I think there is a week.
I know the first 2 rounds.
Maybe not
back
a week.
back.
Maybe not a week, but I think it's 8 days. I think that's it.
Okay, well, I mean, that's still basically having a week, a prep week. But I mean, you're going to have to win 4 games in 5 weeks against better competition than you've played most of the year, and for a lot of these teams, absolutely a tougher 4-game stretch than any first-round team has seen to any point this season. No matter who it is, be Notre Dame, Penn State, any of these teams are going to see a tougher 4-game stretch if they make the finals. A lot of them won't.
I agree with you, Jordan, but you got to think too, like some of these teams, like let's say a Georgia sitting there with real playoff experience, Ohio State, these other teams sitting around. I'm not saying, but they're going to be playing some teams that really, outside of this 12-team playoff, would never even be considered for a championship, ever. Boise State would never. And those teams are going to be, they're going to cut through them like butter. I mean, they're going to cut right through them, and it's going to.
So
as long as everybody stays healthy, I mean,
the semifinal is Thursday, January 9th, and Friday, January the 10th, and the national championship game is scheduled for January the 20th.
That's late, dude. Yeah, that's a 10-day stretch. That's pretty good. Thank you.
Quarterfinal matches are New Year's Day and December 31st.
So
there's one on the 31st.
843 Logan says SC should be in over Bama. All right, Logan, tell me why.
Hey, while we're waiting on that, did you know that there's already a few bowl games set?
No.
Yeah, so the Hawaii Bowl is set. It's South Florida versus San Jose State. And then you've got the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl.
Hey, Scooter.
Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl is Memphis and West Virginia.
Yeah, we're branching out this year.
And the IS4S Salute to Veterans Bowl is going to be South Alabama and Western Michigan.
So some points have come in. It's your boy AJ said South Carolina beat Vandy in Oklahoma, and you're correct.
Okay.
Not very good points, but
and SC got cheated in the LSU game. But they also lost. South Carolina lost to Ole Miss, dominated by Ole Miss and Bama.
24, 3 possessions.
What was that score of that Vandy? Sorry. What was the score of the damn Cox and Bama game again?
27,
24,
22.
So it's still a win. You didn't beat Bama, so who cares?
Yeah. And I mean,
and people get, let's be honest, people get a little hung up on, they lost by 2.
Yeah.
It took some late game magic for
to even get that close.
to be in a position to even win that. Now, don't get me wrong, I was sitting there, I was in my truck on the phone watching it that day going, come on, Carolina, pull it off. But I mean, it wasn't like Alabama snuck in there and got a late touchdown and just stole a win. I mean, they were down 2 possessions late and took a little bit of magic just to make that game interesting.
Your boy AJ said, how is beating the teams Bama lost to not good? Because you lost a head-to-head, so who cares?
And Riddle actually touched on this. We beat the crap out of LSU at Death Valley.
That too.
I mean, it's all relative. What we're saying is it's all relative. Like, Ole Miss has a better stance. We've already talked about this in nauseum, but Ole Miss has a better argument to say they deserve the playoff spot over South Carolina.
If you based off SP Plus, based off of their wins, they do have bad losses, but everybody in the rankings outside of just a couple have a really bad loss.
But,
I mean, everybody outside of Oregon.
Well, Georgia's got 2 ranked losses to.
Well, I mean, but.
Oh, Texas doesn't have bad loss either, do they?
Well, I guess what I'm saying, everybody's got multiple losses.
Yeah, everybody that's got 2 losses. Ohio State's got a bad one to Michigan. Tennessee's got a bad one to Arkansas.
Yeah.
Alabama.
I don't know. Apparently, that Michigan must be carrying some weight that I don't see because that was touted as a good win for Texas, and so.
Yeah, I mean that Michigan apparently has helped out quite a few teams in the Big Ten with their ranking this year.
This is a good question. MA says, didn't they put Alabama in because Florida State did not have their quarterback? Well, South Carolina lost theirs in LSU. So the key is Florida State lost their quarterback
for the
year. Gone.
And still won the ACC championship and went undefeated.
And they did.
Yeah.
And then what happened in the bowl game?
90% of their team opted out. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
So
you're telling me they're quitters?
Yeah, pretty much.
Once they got left out, they said, fuck it. And they got roundhouse by Georgia. Yeah. This is one of the greatest bowl games I've ever seen. That and the national championship game from the year before. 2 of the greatest bowl games I've ever seen.
But what you saw from Florida State this year is exactly what Florida State is. That's what they are. That team, he let them do that, and now look at their program. It's in shambles. Borderline, he may not have a job next year. He'll have one because they're not going to hold it against him, but if he has another year like that, he's gone.
Slubadub 69. Let's not forget Georgia struggling to Kentucky and Georgia Tech. Hey, let's remember last week, Ohio State and Michigan.
So
at home.
I'll say this as the Georgia fan. Tony, me and you were down in Panama City. We watched that Georgia-Kentucky game.
Oh, yeah.
Inexcusable. No reason it should have been that way. Georgia played like ass. Absolutely struggled. Last week, however, you can throw everything out in rivalry week. I said it last week. I'll say it again. When you play your rival, anything can happen. And Georgia Tech, that was their Super Bowl. You could tell by the way their coach cried at the end of the game and was so emotional. They wanted that win more than anything. So
dude, my man
George.
Tater jumping here in the comments. Dude, you're right. Georgia plays down to competition like no other.
Absolutely.
Jeff,
down they play up.
Hey, Jeff's buddy Jamie had the best meme I've ever seen on this. After that Georgia Tech game, he had a picture of Bautista from WWE, and it said Georgia when they play Tennessee. And then it had a picture of the guy with all the tattoos and missing the teeth and shit from Tiger King that was on meth. And it said Georgia when they play literally anybody else. And I've never seen a more accurate meme made in my life. I mean,
if you look deep into Georgia's season, it's 100% true. I mean, look at the games they struggled. It's against teams they should have blown out. And even the UMass game, they gave up over 200 yards rushing in that game and a few big plays. But then they play teams like Texas, who's the number 2 team in the nation, and embarrass them at home. And then they almost had a comeback for the ages against Alabama. They shut down Tennessee, and Tennessee's had a fantastic year. You can't take away what Tennessee's done this year. So the only game that they didn't get up for that you feel like they should have was the Ole Miss game, and they just got absolutely dominated in that game.
Slubdub, so if we're
you can't throw a loss out.
Yeah, but now Slubdub wants to cancel out the OSU Michigan game. Well, I'm just going back to another game. Off the top of my head, what's the excuse for Ohio State struggling to Nebraska at home? How about that one?
Patty Mahomes on the Cornhuskers.
Yeah, the Patty Mahomes wannabe. How about
Mahomes Jr.
Explain that one.
That's Mahomes light.
And Ohio State be punished just because they pay the most money to their players. So
that's Mahomes heavy. That ain't Mahomes light.
Yeah, it's like calling Patty Mahomes.
Patty Mahomes. God dang it. Oh my God.
I'm proud I can say that.
Yeah, Brent Key was at Alabama. Yes, you're 100% right, Billy. And if you throw out anything, let's see. We got a Rocky Top. We got 2 Tennessee fans in here, so usually we're with you.
Yeah.
I don't know if Tony's he says he's a Vols fan, but he talks more shit on them than anybody.
Hey, I got
critical.
motivated. I'm a motivator. I talk shit, then maybe someone will,
I think he's secretly on that Illinois wagon. He just trying to throw us off the scent.
No, whatever I say about Illinois, that's what I mean. Now, if I say something about the Vols, that sounds negative. I don't entirely.
Hey, what was it? What was it you were saying all week? That Georgia week?
I don't remember.
Every time you sent a text, you signed off.
Yeah.
So,
bark.
It's your boy AJ says.
Bark, bark.
It's your boy AJ says Oregon versus Texas for the Natty. Ooh,
I can see it.
I could see it. Yeah, that's pretty much what the narrative was kind of suggesting.
I mean, depending on how everything plays out, before it's all said and done, you could have UGA Texas 3.
Yeah, I mean the way the bracket's set up right now, you could. Yeah. Big Hunt said if Ryan Day doesn't win a Natty after losing to Michigan again, is his seat burning his ass? I think everywhere in the nation outside of Ohio, especially Columbus, you would think you're crazy for wanting to fire a guy that's had the success he's had. But I'm almost positive after the chants that came raining down in Columbus last week that his seat is already pretty damn warm.
and
like when you're,
I agree.
When
with
your
you,
fan base is chanting "fuck Ryan Day" in unison, that Michigan game's important to those guys up there.
I read today the AD has already told him he is the coach for 2025. So
I'm
he
sure.
gave him the vote of confidence, but that doesn't mean it's still not hot. And next year could implicate.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Nothing.
Again, this is a business.
It means he'll start the 2025 season. He'll start. He may not finish.
I don't know how much you three watch any on here on TikTok or any podcast elsewhere. But one of my favorites is McCready and Siskey. And Siskey makes some really good points on this. At the end of the day, this is a business. And in the Big Ten, Ryan Day is 47-1 against teams not named Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
In a business that's defined by winning, he wins.
Yeah.
I get it. I get it. That's your big rivalry, and you want to win that game. Larry Ellison's wife, I talking about the Underwood deal, had reached out to Dave Portnoy to help. People like Portnoy, made that deal with Underwood go through, and I'm sure he wrote a very nice check. But it was Larry Ellison's wife, which, hell, he went to Illinois, but she's a UM grad, and she has stated she doesn't care how much of money of his she has to spend as long as Michigan is winning.
Big top.
And that's just, that's kind of where it's headed until you start looking at putting caps on stuff. That being said, right now, if you're Ohio State outside that Thanksgiving weekend, life is pretty good.
Almost automatic. Yeah.
I mean, you can just about bank on it. I should have beat Georgia. On that late field goal. I had every chance in the world to win that game. But Siski said it best. Right now, that fan base is making an emotional decision, in a business situation.
Yeah. I agree with
that. And Jordan, I'm going to correct you. He's got 2 losses outside of Michigan, and they were both Oregon. 2021 in Columbus, 38-20 or 35-28.
Okay, that's right.
And then this year, Oregon got them again.
Right.
But that's it.
Okay, I mean, he's 47. So he's 47-2 in the conference.
Yeah, 47-0 versus everybody not named Michigan or Oregon.
Yeah, I mean,
Big Hunt says he does win, but next to winning a natty, beating your biggest rival is the most important. I'm going to say, like, if Tony lost to Alabama every single year, like for 16 years straight, and
imagine,
and this guy just won every game but that one, and that was the game that kept him out of the title. Tony would absolutely shit his fucking lid if he lost to him again. He would. He would absolutely blow his fucking gasket.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there,
Brad. All I'm saying is I get it. I'm agreeing with you. I get it. I understand. Tony, I think you could. We're emotionally, Jordan, you're right. It's emotions that are leading this charge, not reason. And reason states that Ryan Day is going to get you in the playoffs every single year, no matter what, because you're going to finish 10-2 with Ohio State, and you're going to be in the playoffs no matter what. 10-2 is a bad year, guys. That's a bad year. Who wouldn't sign up for that?
You're going to win 9 games a year.
Who wouldn't sign up for that? Who wouldn't sign up for that? Is if you said, "Hey, I can get you in the playoffs every single year," and at least then you have a shot to win it. You have a shot to win. I mean, most of us would sign up for that.
He's proven he's going to have loaded rosters.
Yep.
At that point, whether you have 2 wins, 3 wins, or 2 losses, 3 losses, as long as you, with their roster, if you get a spot, you get to see the table, you have that puncher's chance.
Yeah, they've got a talented team, just like Georgia. They have talent.
I just want to say off of what you said a minute ago, it got me thinking. Yeah. Georgia has lost to Alabama every game since I graduated fucking high school, except for that one national championship game we win, and that was great.
You won that one.
But fuck y'all. I don't like losing to y'all.
My point is, I know you don't, and that's the emotional side. But like you said, you've won a national title. You won back-to-back national titles. Almost had a shot at a third. Bottom line is you've kind of circumnavigated and seen you've went to the promised land, and I guess that's what Ryan Day hasn't done. But like I said, any Georgia fan, any real fan is going to say, okay, if Alabama went 11-1 this season and their only loss was to Tennessee, but we somehow won the national title, I wouldn't give a shit about that Tennessee loss. I'd be sitting there wearing my damn shirt that said I won a national title. Fuck you, Tennessee. It wouldn't matter. That's all I'm saying. Just like I don't think
Tater brings up a good point. If they fire him, who wants that job where you're gonna win 9-10 games a year and live in the playoffs, but if you lose that one, how we're gonna fire you? I will say, I was reading today.
That's crazy.
It seems like there could be a reconciliation there moving forward with Urban Meyer. Rumor has it that his camp may have been kind of leaking out to the AD that he would be interested in that job should it become available. He's not advocating, I say, for his probably one of the only friends he's got left in this world because he's a piece of shit.
His heart must be healthy again.
To be fired. But,
he's got a good couple years left in.
He's probably got a few wins over Michigan.
I guarantee you that.
But that's crazy though, because Ohio State's last national title was when Urban was there in the inaugural playoff. So they up there, they have high expectations, and Georgia went through it. Hell, fucking Mark Richt averaged 10 wins a season for 15 fucking years, and Georgia got tired of that. So
yeah, but and I'll say this, Riddle, I think the difference is in that day and age is you lose 2 games, you're out back then.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Now you lose 2 games, you're still sitting there looking fine. I mean, you may not have 3. A bye. Yeah, well, or 3. Absolutely. We're both. Well, you have the potential for 3. We have 3. Yep. And I'm not saying like I told you, did we deserve the playoff? No, we didn't deserve the playoff. We had our chances to win our games and we didn't. But we're here. We're not on the committee. We just accept what they say and we talk about it. And I'm here for all the conversation. It's been awesome. It's been fun. The conversation's great.
I mean, let's be honest. There was quite a bit of chaos down the stretch this year.
Yep.
I mean, you're having some issues, whether this is the BCS, whether you're still sitting there with a 4-team deal. It just happened to hit also on the first year of a 12-team with everybody looking, every team looking completely vulnerable at some point. Right. I mean, including Oregon, looked completely pedestrian there at Camp Randall against Wisconsin. So I think that's kind of just fueled a little bit of the fire and the passion this year, especially around the teams getting in the bottom side of that, where there's been so much chaos, and there's some teams there that have played well late and have an argument, and there's some teams there that actually have a roster able to compete and win in this type of format.
Yeah, 100%.
100%. Just a basketball update for you basketball people out there. Number 9, Duke Blue Devils 73, Auburn 68. 3:52 remaining in that game.
Jordan, don't worry, buddy. Bama took care of business for the SEC today. We took care of business and we beat them Chapel Hill Tar Heels.
They did last night too. Only Kentucky shit the bed so far.
Kansas also lost, to Creighton today. So 1 and 2 could be going down.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean it's early. There's been some really good out of conference matchups to start the season in basketball, and I'm very happy for it because, like I said,
that's aggressive there. A2.
What did he say?
He said if not for Marvin Harrison getting knocked out and Cade Stover getting injured, Day wins a championship.
I mean, he still had a chance to win that game and go play for one.
All the kicker had to do was make a field goal.
Yeah, I mean, they shanked the piss out of it.
It wasn't close. I'm actually on a TikTok. My friend.
Honestly, it reminds me of that time the Browns were playing outdoors. It was like a damn gale force wind, and the dude goes to get like a 30-yarder, and it goes 15 yards and just goes straight off the screen to the left. I mean, it was terrible. It's safe to say the moment was way too big for that kid. He was cutting buttonholes in his fucking pants.
He said, A2 said good kickers and Ryan Day are not synonymous. They weren't at Alabama for a really long time.
They were not with Nick Saban either.
It's like the really good
Nick
coaches
Saban could find anybody, anywhere to play any damn position except to kick a fucking football.
Yeah, kickers don't matter.
I never understood it.
Well, he had Tippin for a while, didn't he?
We had Will Reichert, who set the all-time NCAA scoring record as Alabama's kicker.
Oh, was he there 2 years ago?
Yes. It was wide right.
He's the one that missed the field goal that led to Tennessee beating y'all.
He missed that field goal. Yes, he did. Yeah. He made enough of them in his career to make up for it.
God bless him.
Yeah, he gave Tony some hope.
God bless him.
I mean, even old Hot Rod Rodrigo missed some for Georgia.
I mean, everybody, dude. He's actually doing really well for Minnesota. OSU is looking at a transfer kicker right now who hit 650 yarders last season. That's pretty cool. Ryan Day and big games are not synonymous either. Oh, my Lord.
Not by any stretch.
The conversation. Hey, I'll say this. If you put me, you said Ryan Day or James Franklin, you got to choose one.
Right,
I'm taking Ryan Day all fucking day long, twice on
like
Sunday.
I mentioned earlier, I said it was told to me that Ryan Day is the Michael Jordan of James Franklin's. They're both the same. It's just, James Franklin has his own category of being like one of the most worst overrated coach when it comes to getting a job done against ranked teams or, having a chance to win a championship. And Ryan Day, he's right there in that category.
Can I just bring up something? This is that comment just a second ago kind of irked me. Georgia's first national championship, if Jameson Williams didn't get hurt, Alabama wins that game. And now the Ohio State game in the second national championship run, if he doesn't get hurt, Ohio State wins that game. Do either one of them motherfuckers play defense? Because the last time I checked, when both of those injuries happened, those teams were in the lead, and the defense gave it up. Yeah. And don't neither one of them play defense.
I don't use excuses about people getting hurt. I'm not a Texas fan. I'm not a Texas fan. That's if Colt wouldn't have got hurt, they still holding on to 2009. So maybe this year they can get redeemed.
Hey, it's okay, because 20 years from now, I'm still probably going to be holding on to 2022 and 2023 national championships. So it's the first two in my lifetime. I got one football right there for it, and the other one's going to arrive here in a couple days. So
Byron said Alabama is less than South Carolina, except they were
I know
more than.
I know you don't have any from 1980. They're probably already disintegrated. They crumbled into space and time.
I have seen like the replica championship rings from that year, and they are awful.
They used to be awful. They really did. Of course, everything wasn't about,
Right, but I mean, championship rings. I love championship rings, but Georgia's 1980 ring is literally a gold ring, and in block letters right across it, it just says Georgia.
So I know you pretty well, and so what I want to do is I'm going to challenge you, because I know you'll probably complete it. I want to challenge you. I want you to have the Bulldog shoulder pads for next season. That's what I want you to do. I want you to go on the
hold up. Wait a minute.
The Road Warriors.
Yeah,
hell yeah.
Yeah, Animal and Hawk. I want you to go on the road there. I want you to find them, and you bring them to the show next year. And Tony, we're gonna need more from the cowboy hat from you this next season.
Oh, no. We want
some aviators.
Yeah,
dropping
handlebar.
Tony, can you bring the trash can? Can you bring the Tennessee trash can from those? We don't do that no more. Can you find those? Where are those located?
That era is long forgotten. We don't do
long forgotten.
Might as well get a wheelbarrow of bricks too and go ahead and build them
up.
Not
doing any of that. No. Amnesia set in after all that shit. I don't remember. Don't know what you're talking about.
Wow.
Yeah, I agree. $2. He does. Ryan Day knows how to win the big game. I'm not disputing that. I just think he can't lose to Michigan as much as he has. It's eventually going to weigh heavy. The fans are going to get restless, and like Jordan said, it's a business decision right now. They're going to stick with him, but inevitably, fans fill the seats. Inevitably, if he keeps losing, there is a threshold at some point. Losing that many, you will be. Look at Lloyd Carr for Michigan. Brought a national title and pretty consistent winning, and Tressel just had his number. And it just, I'm not saying it's the same. I'm not saying it's the same scenario. I'm just saying that it does matter in that game. Riddle, you are right. That game does matter a lot. And the fans eventually will have their way, just like some fans didn't want Schiano to be their coach.
Yep. Hell yeah.
That guy up at Rutgers.
I mean, let's be honest. That was the day that a fan base saved an athletic department. If that hire goes through, nothing we have right now is what it is today.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be watching football, period.
I wouldn't go that far.
You'd be watching ice skating, wouldn't you?
I would. Yeah, something.
Oh, here's a good question.
I would
be more entertaining.
Y'all think Tennessee could win it in Columbus?
Absolutely. Yes. Defense travels, baby.
Defense. Yep. And that's what's going to keep them in the game. And
to run the damn ball, baby.
Exactly. And being able to run the ball with one of the best backs in the nation, that would be a very good game. That's one of the better matchups of the first round.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they can play discipline, if they not cut the stupid penalties out altogether, hell, just cut them in half. Just cut them in half.
Yeah. Stop lining up all sides. I mean, that's
that defensive front
thing.
That defensive front will do what they've done all year and make it a fucking miserable experience trying to run the football. And what I've seen of Will Howard, I just don't think you can let him throw 40 times and win a football game with him. I just don't see it happening.
I'm currently on the deep web looking for these shoulder pads.
A2 Bucks did say, what about OSU's defense? OSU's defense is solid. Like, I will give them credit.
I mean, they got a good defense.
They have a good defense. They do. And I'm not going to – will you pose problems? 100%. But, well, I guess what we're getting at is the run game. The run game is going to eventually prevail at some point. Tennessee's O-line is solid. It's full of leadership. And eventually they're going to lean on you enough to where they're going to run. They've been consistent enough to be able to tell you that.
Yeah, because no one's really
has a good defense. I just trust, Nico to hit a big play or two that I don't know that Will Howard can.
But
especially, I mean, everybody all year's had a hard time running against our defensive front because we rotate so much and there's so little fall off between starters and the third rotation through. But we got 12 bodies we're rotating through. So at the end of the game, when a defense should be wore down, our guys are still, still as fresh as like it was the second quarter.
But
and I think that's what would be the difference.
Yeah, we're not saying you're not good. It would be one of the better games. That's what we did comment. I do think it would be one of the better games. We just simply think Tennessee is going to be able to travel and play with Ohio State. Do they win it? Who knows? Can they win it? Absolutely. Depends on which Tennessee team shows up.
I mean, you can say that for a lot of teams in this.
Oh, yeah, 100%. But I mean, like
actually, all of them. I mean, including Oregon. Which team shows up? Because we've seen everybody this year at their best and their worst.
I just meant like if Nico throws some picks, Samson fumbles the ball. Obviously, Ohio State gets up big. I mean, that defense is stingy enough for Ohio State to be hard to come back. But we don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be a good game, I think.
Oh, you're spot on, Bucks. I think these home site games are going to be something to see, even from a television standpoint. There's going to be an energy that I don't think we've ever seen on a college campus for a football game. I mean, rivalry games, they get wild, but I mean, this is to play for a national championship, and this is your chance as a fan base to make a difference in your team's first game. I mean, there's home field advantage for a reason.
It's going to be huge. And here's the deal: don't sleep on Tennessee. They may get a home game. They may sneak in there. I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows what this committee's going to do?
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
They say, we're not going to penalize you if you're playing in a championship game. But then again,
it's hard to believe.
Hey, we're going to put, I mean, you went head to head. We're going to, I'm like Jeff at this point. I'm almost kind of hoping my SMU pick loses and we get Clemson in there and just see what kind of chaos we can have.
I mean, yeah, it would be chaos.
Maybe Penn State can go in there and beat Oregon by 40, and we can just have some chaos and fucking calamity.
Yeah, me with Tennessee. Yeah.
So what I'm finding out, Brandon, on these shoulder pads is I'm going to just have to buy a pair of shoulder pads and create my own.
See, that's why I like challenging you, because I know you'll find a way.
Oh, I'm gonna have them. There's no doubt about it.
I knew that was good.
And it's gonna be the golden ones with the Savage and the turnover pads.
So, user says if Tennessee plays Ohio State and Neyland, Tennessee all day, but in Columbus that scares me. As well, it should.
A good point.
That's part of it.
Because Heupel still doesn't have that true stamp on a road victory. Yeah, he beat LSU a couple years ago, but I'm talking like a high pressure situation. LSU has a day game, noon game. Yeah, they ran them out of the stadium, all that shit. But really, that's the only true away game that. I know they've won other games. I mentioned it earlier on the earlier podcast. Kentucky, yada yada, some other schools. But I'm thinking about like the bigger, more premier schools, Bama, Georgia. You don't
have this signature road win, the top 10 signature one.
I mean, he's been to places that are hard to win on the road. Yeah. I mean, Norman at night historically has been a hard place to win. But I'm not. Oklahoma was bad this year.
Cool. Yeah, cool in the chat said bowl game predictions. We've only got 3 games that have been announced yet. But
we'll get to those more in the weeks as we come to them.
And I'll tell you this, as far as betting goes, especially in the bowl games. A wise man once told me, take the running dog.
That was a really good strategy at one time. I'm going to have to get back into the numbers a little bit and kind of see how that's holding up. Because, I mean, things like the transfer portal changed that a lot.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Back when everybody played and it was an honor to go to a bowl game, dude, that was a staple of my postseason plays. You catch running dogs on the road in bowl games, and magic happens.
Yeah.
Especially on the spread.
Yep. Big Hunt said Oklahoma was good enough to beat Bama. Absolutely. What is Tennessee's strength on offense? Don't know much about them. The run game, 100%.
Absolutely.
The run game.
Dylan Sampson, and even though he doesn't do it, and I honestly think he should do it more, Nico can make plays with his legs if he has to. He just doesn't want to.
Just go look at the stats for Dylan Sampson, and you'll be impressed. I mean,
as long as he can hold on to the football. I know Tony's busy right now, but yeah, he's
everybody thinks because the way Heupel runs his offense that it's this wide spread, and it is. The whole point is to get the defense spread out outside the numbers. Everybody thinks it's a high flying, a high octane offense. His principle is to run the ball first. Going back to his time at Central Florida, his teams have averaged 2,000 yards on the ground a year for like the last 5 years straight. And the way his offensive philosophy is pretty simple. Spread them out, count the box. A lot of things are RPOs. If the numbers are there, if the defense has numbers in the box, it's going to be a throw. If we've got a hat for a hat, then we're going to run the ball. It's pretty straightforward once you boil it down to kind of its simplest form. But yeah, that's going to be their main plan. They're not going to come out with Nico and try to throw 60 times. Mm-hmm. That's not in the game plan. This year, Tennessee has finally got to that point where they can dictate games. They can kill clock. They can run the ball. They can hurry up and sling it over the yard. They've kind of opened up. They've kind of opened up to a point where, in years past, it was more high octane, high flying, and they struggled when it was time to sit on it and close games out. That has not been a problem this year. To the charging of some fans, because they want to see 60, 70 points on a game, and yes, it's fun, but to me, winning's funner.
That's not realistic either. Not every year.
No, I mean it's not.
Yeah. So, no, but they have a very good defensive front. One of the best in the SEC. They are very sound on defense. They don't make a lot of mistakes. They're going to be. That's going to be a tough out. I promise. They're going to give you everything they got, and when you give him time to plan, his offense is tricky. Can Ohio State beat Tennessee? Absolutely. Can Tennessee beat Ohio State? Absolutely.
I think that'll be one of the probably the better. It has potential to be the best matchup of the first round. We all know you play the games on the field; they could absolutely come out one side, lay an egg, and it be ugly early. But just looking at it right now, that has potential to be just an absolute, down to the last possession, slobber knocker kind of game.
He says, "Are we betting one beer or two on the Georgia-Texas game, UConn?"
So he want Georgia?
He took Texas, Kias. Who do you want? If you could rank top 5 teams in the country, record doesn't matter. Who are they?
Top 5 in the country?
He's got Georgia.
Top 5 in the country, no rankings, no nothing matters. I would take Oregon, Texas, Georgia, Ohio State. Damn, who else would I take at 5?
Got to take somebody.
I want to take Penn State just to piss Tony off.
Don't do it. I don't care what that one line is. That's bullshit.
I gotta say,
really, I would say Oregon, Texas, Georgia, Ohio State, Tennessee. Okay, would be my top 5.
Tony, I'm gonna ask you a simple question. Who are you taking right now? If I said Notre Dame, Penn State, who the fuck you taking?
Oh my God. I was actually thinking of that being a scenario game somehow, if possible. My God, God, I don't know.
What was the question?
Notre Dame or Penn State right now?
Or Penn State.
Who's winning that?
I think I might roll Notre Dame.
I would roll
that is a potential matchup that we see.
Yeah, I know. I was looking at that earlier. I was like, that shit could happen.
I'd roll Notre Dame.
Yeah, that's what I think I'd go Notre Dame. Penn State, man. They just touched on it a bit. Tyler Warren, that's it. And defense is okay.
A2 Bucks said Notre Dame over Penn State and Tennessee.
All right. Now pump the brakes a little bit. You can't say that. You can't say that confidently. Notre Dame over Tennessee.
Confidently.
You can't say that confidently. I'm just telling you.
I mein, this playoff, it's going to be a fun playoff. Yeah. It wouldn't shock me at all if Ohio State comes out and wins this playoff.
Hey guys, I'm gonna have to jump on.
Yeah, you got to work tomorrow.
We're gonna wrap it up.
I mean, y'all can keep talking chat all you want. I'm just gonna have to take my dogs out and get myself into bed.
All right, man. See you, buddy.
See you, George.
Y'all take care, guys.
Riddle, go ahead and finish your thought before we wrap up.
No, I was just bringing up that comment in the chat. And then I said, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Ohio State comes out and wins this playoff. I think Oregon could win this playoff. I think Texas could win this playoff. If the right Georgia team shows up, Georgia could win this playoff. I think Tennessee has a chance to win this playoff strictly because defense wins championships. And when that defense is on, it's one of the best in the nation. The teams that I don't right now that I don't think Penn State stands a chance. We'll find out everything we need to know about Penn State this weekend.
Will they lay another egg like they did against Ohio State, where they literally didn't score any offensive touchdowns?
Right. Notre Dame, like I said, they've improved. They're much improved since the beginning of this year. Still would like to see them play somebody of elite competition, and we will in the playoffs. So
call me crazy. I hope Alabama, if we get in, that's who we play. That's who I want to fucking play right there.
Well, see, that's the thing about Alabama. You want to talk about roller coaster of a season. Alabama's look like world beaters at times. They look like the best team in the nation, and then they look like a team that doesn't deserve to be ranked in the top 25 at times. So
on the road, and that's where
they're just like Georgia. Just like Georgia. So,
but Georgia just wins more consistent.
This year.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. Like I said, I don't know why. I just like the way Alabama matches up to Notre Dame.
If Kippy's not still in here, I just hate to say it for him. Indiana's not winning this national championship. Boise State's not winning this national championship. If SMU gets in, I don't think they have a legit chance of winning this national championship. But I think anybody outside of Penn State that I didn't name has a legitimate shot at winning this national championship. So it's going to be fun, and these matchups are going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, Penn State's biggest detriment to them is not only you have James Franklin trying to win one big game, but he's got to win 4. Get fucking real. I mean, he can't win 4 in a row. He can barely win 1.
and it starts this weekend.
Yeah. Well, now if he wins this weekend, we got to start having a different conversation.
I don't think they win this weekend, but I mean, you're right. If he does pull it off, then
they have a legit shot to be the number 1 team.
Oh, absolutely. I think they do go to number 1.
I mean, it'd be interesting.
Yeah, they should. They should, but
and Tony, come back. Y'all come back. Tony will have to admit how good they are.
No. No, that if they win, it's a fluke. I'm just saying it's a damn fluke. If they somehow win this,
Riddle, I can just see this happen. I can see Clemson blowing out SMU and Penn State winning, and Tony just having to come on here and say, "Shit, I don't know nothing about football, guys."
But the way it's been, who knows? Oregon squeaked one out against Ohio State. Ohio State made Penn State look like shit. And this could be the game where maybe Penn State does somehow pull some bullshit off, but it's hard to see happening. But I guess it could happen. I mean, that's why they play it. You can't just play it on paper. But
Big Hunt said biggest shocker from signing day. There wasn't a lot of shocks, I would say. I think Madden Iamaleava flipping from UCLA and going to Arkansas was a little bit of a shock. And when he did that, the wide receiver that I believe Jace Brown's his name, he was, committed to UCLA. He flipped as well when Iamaleava did. That was a huge hit to UCLA's recruiting class.
Yeah. So my big shock was I touched on this earlier. Was Naheem Alford flipping from Ohio State? They offered him a big NIL package at Ohio State, and he flipped today to Oregon. So that was definitely there you go. That's him. That's Naheem Alford. He is an actual Birmingham native, Big Hunt, and never considered Alabama or Auburn because the offer that he received from Ohio State was that good. So imagine what Oregon's offering to pay him.
Got that Nike money.
Yeah. So that was my big flip too for today. Obviously Friday, Justice Terry could have huge implications on the rankings, and Georgia could end up on top if he signs with them because he's big. He's big name.
So for you college basketball guys, is Tennessee ranked third?
Yeah,
right now. Yeah. So 1 and 2 both lost. That just went final.
Oh no, the number one curse. Please don't give it to us. Make us fall a spot.
All right. With that,
we'll come back and lose very first game, number 1.
We're going to wrap up, and we're going to go ahead and close this up. So thank you for listening to this week. This is the weekend roundup on Lock, Load, and Go. We'll be back here Saturday night, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time to review all the weekend madness and give honest feedback. We look forward to seeing you then. Remember, you can find this podcast on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. Please remember to like, follow, and subscribe to the podcast as we do this for you and love your feedback. Have a great rest of your week, and we will see you all soon. See you guys very, very soon. Jackson.
Hey, before you cut it off, I was about to say, go ahead.
Jackson says, I got an offer from Tennessee. For real? That's awesome, dude. Play basketball? Didn't you say you're like 6'10"? Tony might be cheering you on at some point.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for his reply now. Like, it's got me
if you're good, you're a dog, come on, because we need a championship too on that. We already got one baseball. Try to get one football. We need one basketball so we pull off trifecta.
I'm waiting to see the answer too now.
I ain't going nowhere.
See you, buddy. See you, Kiss. Appreciate you, man.
Take it easy, Kiss.
Well, hell, now I'm trying to. Jackson, where'd you?
He left you on blue balls.
He dropped that little nugget. He dropped that little nugget and ran out.
Dropped that comment, liked the live, and took off.
Anyway, well, hey, I gotta go.
I wish our buddy Block Bully would come back on. Talk to him a little bit.
I got my first doctor's appointment with physical therapy tomorrow. So,
how are you feeling heading into that?
I feel fine. I mean, I'm surprisingly I'm not on the medication like I was. I'm way far off of it actually. So,
well, I'm sure Sweet Daddy D misses you. So,
I guarantee you that. Although I wasn't there in November, pretty much the whole month, and they set another record in stock cutting. Pretty much the only part of the plant that did set a record. Just when I say that, I'm talking about waste. I ain't talking about anything else, not production, nothing like that. Just waste.
Oh, okay.
Well, we can't run.
Yeah, no, waste and dumps. All I was talking about.
Hell, it seems like if we run at full speed ahead, within a few days, we have no room to put anything with the ticket going down.
Yeah, it's terrible right now. It's terrible. I hope we're able to get back to normal. I really am. So, because I'm just ready for normalcy. I just want to be able to go and not have to worry about shit anymore. But anyway, hey, all right, guys.
Before you hop off, Brandon, do you want to get on Sunday evening and discuss the final CFP or anything, or do you just
we can
live reaction?
Yeah, we can. We can't. I can't show it, but I can.
No. I'm saying after it because we'll be working anyway.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
well, I'll have it. I'll have it going, and everybody can just jump in.
All right.
And live or die. Whether Alabama's in or not, we'll just have to live with it. That's what.
Sounds good.
All right, guys. I'll see.